Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I hope everyone's having a good day. Welcome, everyone, to episode 4 of my podcast, The Eidolon Wall. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't expect to get to 4 episodes, but really enjoying it. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I see V in the chat. Thank you, V, for coming. And Scott, hello. Nice to see you all. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Now, yeah, this one is going to be a very interesting podcast because today we're going to be talking about FF7 Rebirth, how it's affected the series, the changes it's made from FF7, our theories about the part 3, and just general FF7 Rebirth stuff, how we feel about it, stuff like that. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a good time with me. I hope we have a good time. And of course, as you can see, I'm not alone here. I've got 2 guests with me. So here they are. We have my 2 special guests who I have invited to talk to with me to talk to about FF Rebirth. And hopefully they'll have a good time here as well. So yeah, exactly. God damn it. Kokiri one. Okay, so introductions for those who don't know. Oh hell yeah, exactly. So oh yeah. So for those who don't know these guys, I'll introduce you guys for those who don't know. Obviously, as many of you will may know 1 or 2 of them, but for those who don't, again, I will introduce you. First, we have one of my best friends on Twitch, a Hylian lore master, wiser than the 7 sages themselves, born of Kokiri. I'm pointing the wrong direction. So yeah, please say hello to my friend Kokiri. And yeah, that is Kokiri, everyone. So please go and if you like Kokiri's vibe, please go and check him out. He is a very great guy, very a massive. Oh wait, can't hear the guests. Discord, are you doing? Hang on, I think I know what's wrong. I think I know what's wrong. Discord is being stupid. Hang on. Discord is being stupid. It does this thing with OBS where you constantly have to. Okay, there we go. Right, sorry. So if you want to do your introduction again, sorry, Kokiri.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, my name is Born of Kokiri. I go by Kokiri for short. I'm definitely a hardcore fan of the Legend of Zelda series. Zelda's my bread and butter. Twitch, along with Zelda, I like to play games from both the Mario, Kingdom Hearts, and Sonic series, and I do a lot of voice impressions, voice acting stuff, and also I love to talk about theories and lore from both Zelda and Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, he has his own podcast as well. On the 3rd of every month, he does his podcast, The Kokiri Chronicles, where he talks about all things Zelda. I am in fact going to be a guest on his podcast again next month, where for April. So if you guys are interested,
I also have a Kingdom Hearts podcast.
exactly. Yep. Every 13th of every month, he does a Kingdom Hearts podcast called The Palpu Scoop. And hopefully you guys will check that out as well.
Yes.
Oh yeah, sorry, Kokiri.
No, I was saying yes, I agree.
Okay. But yeah, sorry about that, everyone. Discord, for some reason, OBS constantly changes. I have to constantly change the Discord I'm using. It's weird. But of course, my next guest as well, someone who many of you will recognize. He is an all-round great dude, all-round amazing dude, and one of the best Final Fantasy 7 streamers I know. Please give it up for Neon Genesis.
Hi everyone, my name is Neon Genesis. I'm a variety streamer and speedrunner. I guess I'm known for FF7. I speedrun Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, maybe soon to be more FF10, 7 Remake. I love FF7 Remake, FF7, FF7 Rebirth. So I'm definitely in the right spot.
Oh yeah, and of course we love to have you here as well. And of course, as I said, we are going to talk about Rebirth here, but of course, like I've said before as well, please check out both of these amazing guys. Give them a cheeky follow. Both great people, absolutely amazing to watch and to know. So please go and check them out if you haven't already. But yes, today we are going to talk about Rebirth. I figured it's been a few months. Well, not even a few months. It's been pretty much just over a year since Rebirth was first released. I believe last February, I believe it was. And yeah, so I figured it was a good time to talk about Rebirth, people's reactions to it, how they felt about it, and stuff like that. But first off, Kokiri, why don't you tell us how did you how did you feel about a general idea? How did you feel about Rebirth when you first played it? What was your first impressions of it?
Well, I honestly really loved it. I think it took everything from Remake from 2020 and just expanded upon it. I will say this though, like exploring Midgar in Remake, that was awesome. And because obviously we know in the original FF7, it's not all about just exploring Midgard. There's like a whole big world out there for you to see, like Cosmo Canyon and all of that. And I'm just glad it's like, oh, we finally get to explore this world and get to know the entire world that we see, like interact with the citizens right around chocobos and stuff like that. And I think it was just honestly, it was just fantastic, and the story was just absolutely good.
Oh yeah, they definitely expand on the Midgar section a lot, and I really enjoyed it. What about you, Neon? What were your first impressions of Rebirth when you first loaded into the game?
Oh man, I have my whole playthrough on YouTube, and it was a hell of a journey. I mean, this has been a part of my life. I mean, the original game since I was 10 years old. It's the first kind of, I dabbled in games before that, like Sonic and Streets of Rage, for those who might know those games. Obviously, most of you guys will know Sonic. But FF7 was the first game that kind of drew me in. There was just something about the storytelling of that game that just it gripped me. And it's just forever been a part of my life. So when Remake came out, first we saw the trailer in 2015, and then I was just an emotional wreck. Like, oh my god, they're doing it! Like, they're finally doing it! Like, and I didn't even know that this was kind of still around the new era of where they actually did remakes. Where they're now remaking every other game these days. I swear, but just not FF9 yet. Rip.
Damn.
But I'm when I first loaded in, it was a bit of a wild ride because I guess my personal feelings are going to be a bit more personal to me. But 5 days before the game had came out, I just met some of the voice actors for the game. Kate Sif's voice actor, Zach's voice actor. Barrett's voice actor, and more, So meeting these voice actors and then ironically beating Kingdom Hearts 2 the day before the game came out, for the first time ever. And
Nice.
then the game was coming out, and I'm not gonna lie, I was sick as a dog. I was so sick, I was so ill, but I was so hyped, and I can genuinely say I've never been more excited to play a video game in my life. So the first time I loaded in, bearing in mind I'd done the demo, so it's a little bit different to kind of say how I felt. But as soon as I got to the grasslands, I'm not one to shy away from my feelings here or anything like that, but I did actually just break down in tears.
Oh damn.
There's two in about half an hour where I'm just crying, from just this emotional, journey of, I'm 38 years old now, I've been playing this game for 28 years, and to see this game in this, in this graphical state, and to listen to the theme and to see this world brought to life, it was honestly just nothing but incredible. And probably a little bit emotional because I was sick and I was tired and all this kind of stuff. And then here we are playing my favorite game. It was just something else.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I think many of us had that reaction when I first booted up. Final Fantasy VII's never been high on my list of Final Fantasy 7s I liked, but when I first put in Rebirth, now I loved Remake, but when I first put in Rebirth, I had kind of the same reaction as you. I was just like, oh my god, this is actually happening. This is actually here, and yeah, I was amazed by the actual world. And so, of course, like Kiri said as well, it's obviously a far cry from Remake, where well, I won't say Far Cry, but it's obviously different from Remake, where Remake we got they expand on Midgar, we got to see more Midgar, and we got to explore it instead of just bombing, blowing shit up and then meeting a random flower girl. But they expand on it, and a lot of the stuff they did was very good. Very good. They added stuff with like Jesse's father and just general stuff. But of course, we get into, and then we go, of course, when we get into that first look of the real world, outside of Midgar, like and going from like from the plains of calm, where there's like just nothing but green lands, there's no like landmarks apart from like the Chogwo farm and calm and stuff like that, going from
Mhm.
that to like the vast wilderness we had in Rebirth, where you could see landmarks, you could see the enemies running around, um and going to calm as well, like seeing how they did calm, where like this, because you get into calm in the original, it's a smallish town, it's got like a big structure in the middle, it's a smallish town, although Neon won't see it because he skips it a lot. Shameful. For if you know,
Yeah.
you know. um but yeah, you go into calm, and you see it's a small kind of town. They haven't really had a chance to do it much. But then, yeah, what were your guys' first impressions of Calm, when like how they expand on Calm? Like Neon, what was your like, when you first entered Calm? What was your like expression, like your feelings towards Calm and how they expanded on it?
Yeah, because I could talk about like the flashback, but because I played the demo, it's a bit hard. But once I got to Calm, I'd seen. I think there was some very few content creators who had been and was able to do the demo again, but
Mm,
then go into Calm and just mess around in town. And there was a handful of people who messed around in the grasslands area. But I at that point was avoiding kind of anyone playing in Calm or the
mm,
grasslands area. So I kind of went in from finishing the demo where the demo would end, and then going into Calm. And I mean, you're thrown into these cutscenes, and immediately, like, I'm already questioning the story, thinking like, where are they going to take us?
mm,
Because, you've got this cutscene with Tifa, who's she's showing you her scar, and you've got Sephiroth already kind of haunting Cloud and appearing
mm.
at the bottom of the stairs in Calm, and
Yeah.
and he's already planting the seed that Tifa isn't who she is, and all this kind of stuff. And from the original game that that Sephiroth's just like literally like messing with
Mm.
Dark Bahamut. Are we allowed to swear on here? Is that
Yeah, go
okay?
for it. Go for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like Sephiroth's just like fucking McLeod at this
Yeah.
point already, and we're just like, where are they gonna go from here? So like already this part here was like I was kind of like I didn't have time to process Calm
Mm.
because I was already having this like obviously this vibe between Tifa and Cloud on top of the rooftop.
Yeah.
It's not a good vibe, and I'm walking away going, "What the fuck is going on? Like we've just fallen out with Tifa. Like go knock on the door, Cloud.
Damn.
Go, just, go and make up
Damn.
with her or something."
Yeah.
And but getting into Calm and running around, the first thing that I'm hearing is like the the Calm music, and it's so heartwarming to hear that they kept the original music, but obviously, redone a little bit and kept it feeling like Calm. But in the original, you don't get to see much of Calm. I know you've got it all basically on one screen, minus a few doors. But to see this town in a lot more detail, and for a speedrunner who I know I skip it now, but I never used to, I promise. But I do see these details of
Mm.
FF7 OG way more than your average person because I play this game like 3-4 times a week.
Mm.
So seeing Calm, and I guess this is a bit of a selling point of why I always would tell my community to watch me when I'm playing this game, because I will spot things and look for things that I know are in the original game
Mm.
down to the smallest detail, and look for that in Rebirth or Remake or whatever part 3 is going to be called.
Mm.
So this will be something I will constantly do, and I'm not looking to criticize, but I'm just looking to see, oh, did they put this in there, or wonder if they're going to do that there.
Mm.
So Cam for me was awesome, and we got our first kind of look at interacting with your party members on a one-to-one basis and having kind of like a quality time with them.
Yeah.
Talking with Tifa about the water tower and so on and so forth. So I really liked what they did with it. I was quite taken aback by how they made us leave Calm. That was very
Mm.
kind of exciting. You're sneaking out, and this guy, what's his bloody name now? Is it Brogan or Broden or something?
I think it's
Like,
Broden. Yeah.
yeah, and he's escorting you out, and you're climbing across like the not
Mm.
quite a rooftop, but you're like sneaking out. And I'm like, what is this stealth game all of a sudden? Like, I'm like, what are they doing here? And see these kind of changes, I'm very, very happy with this. It kind
Mm.
of makes more sense than just leaving a town peacefully. But I know that other people might not like the
Yeah.
change, but yeah.
Yeah, which is completely fair. Yeah, I think a lot of people had that experience with Calm as well. Like you said, like it was Yeah, like you say, it was experience. Like the change they did from the original, from the original FF7. Like this small town that we generally only really see the inn most of it, unless you go in the store and the shops and that. But then to make this small town to like this big bustling like kind of like city kind of like popular town, like sort of like a mini Midgar. It was definitely a nice jarring little thing. But what about you, Kokiri? What was your thoughts on Calm when you first entered?
Honestly, it looks pretty nice. I mean, for somebody who actually did not play much of the original
Mm,
FF7, I mean, definitely am still playing it to this day on my off time.
mm,
But looking at it, but compared to like being able to experience more of the original stuff, I was like, it's like wow, this looks big, this looks nice, it
mm.
looks really peaceful, and like, and just hearing the music, it sounded like, of course, no pun intended, it sounded really calm. It was really
I
calm and
appreciate
relaxing.
that, by the way. That was good.
But yeah, it was just really cool,
Mm,
like, and looking at it from during my experience with the originals, like it's like this looks really different to me. It's like really small and like it's so alive, and everybody just felt so alive, like the people just walking around, going to the shops, like going inside that underground pub,
mm.
like it just felt so alive, and that's what I really liked about Calm, like everything was just great. It's like you have like interaction moments where you can actually, you know, you look up at that water tower with Tifa, you kind of like bring back a memory. It's
Mm.
like oh, like remember that promise? He's like, doesn't this remind you of anything? Like when I made that promise to you, like to where if I join Soldier, I'll come help you.
Yeah.
You know, like that was a really touching moment.
Oh yeah. Like it was. Sorry.
But exploring Calm was just
Mm.
felt cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, Neon.
No, I was just gonna say, so Kikiri, when did you finish FF7 the original?
I have not finished it. I'm still working on it.
Ah, and do you know
Yeah.
whereabouts you are at the moment? Like, what was the last event you did?
The
Or
last
anything?
event I did was I'm not sure I'm at Wutai right now because
Oh,
Yuffie took all my
Mm.
material.
so mm, I need to be careful how I say this then. So,
No, no, you can say. I mean, I'm definitely unfamiliar with what happens in the entire game.
okay, okay. So,
So you can say it.
Yeah.
yeah, so well, you can do the Wutai quest early game, or you can even do it with super late game. So, even if you say you're doing Wutai, to me it doesn't quite nail down. So, have you seen scene at the end of disc one yet?
No, I am definitely unfamiliar with it. Yes, I'm definitely knows what happens. Like even before I started playing more of the
Ah,
original for the first time,
Mm.
I
all
do know
right.
what happens.
Okay, so I was gonna say, so since you played the original, how did you feel about them adding the addition of us sneaking out of Calm, the way we did, compared to like FF7, the original, where they just have us, finish the Calm
Mm.
flashback and then just walk out and go across the wilderness. Did you feel that it was a good change, or do you think it was maybe not needed that they added this little bit of drama? Of these the like I know the name of these, by the way, but I
Yeah,
don't know if you guys know, but they're called
yeah,
Gelnickers. These they're like little traveling things that you can see them coming in the distance, and like
Mm.
basically kind of like Shinra's like kind of trying to like come in, not quite attack, but they're coming to look on like kind of lockdown looking for us.
Mm.
And they added all this. So how did you
yeah.
feel about that, Kokiri?
Yeah, it definitely felt a little bit different from the original, but it's a really interesting concept, and like, there's like it's like you were pointing out, Neon. It's like there's like so much
Hmm.
drama going on. It's like Cloud. It's like messing, like it's like letting Sephiroth get to him and all this other stuff, and like worrying about like the side story. Like you definitely get to learn more about Cloud and his backstory, like around the time to where when he was like still in Nibelheim at the time before Sephiroth burned it down to the ground, but
Mm.
Hmm.
it was like it was a lot though, you know.
Mm. Oh yeah. The sneaking out was definitely a nice change. I find it. Like you said, instead of just walking out of town normally, they had this whole little intense bit, where to really make you feel like, yeah, you are Shinra's most wanted right now. This is what you can
Yeah,
expect. Like, and it was definitely a nice little touch in the game, a nice little addition to the game.
Yeah, it
And
added like a sense of urgency to the characters to move on. Like,
Yeah.
it's like Kukiri said, and I'm sorry for stealing your pun, but it's nice and calm there. We're relaxed there. You feel like, okay, I've done this flashback. You've seen Sephiroth literally just slashing down villagers, and then you've got this nice, calm, relaxed atmosphere. And then they throw you in the deep end of boom. Okay, we've been attacked. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And Broden helping us find a way out. I think that this was a positive change. I don't know if there's many people who would disagree on that. And these are the kind of changes that I think most people would appreciate. But I know there's people out there who are, I don't want to say the word purist, but there are a lot of purists out there who just wanted the game to be the game it is, but just in better graphics, which I think there's an argument on both sides. Like if they did it with 9, I'd be very, very happy with it. But if they did it with 9 but added extra to it, you'd also like it. But if they changed an event, just even in an event order, some people might not like that, you see. And that's kind of where FF7 is, where they're changing certain things in events, or even mimicking what's going to happen and doing it early, such as, we'll get onto that later on, I'm sure, but such as like the Tifa kind of mini live stream segment, because Tifa doesn't have a live stream segment like this.
Yeah.
It's Cloud that has one, but like they're mimicking kind of like almost like it's her version of it. But we'll get onto that later. I don't want to.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Digress. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry.
Dark Panther, did you? So you did enjoy Cam the way it was then?
Oh yeah, like
it was great.
I definitely enjoyed Calm. Like, yeah, it's definitely a lot better, especially since it was like also like for example, it was a place where like we were first introduced to Queen's Blood as well. For example, we got our first Queen's Blood games. Kokiri sucks at Queen's Blood.
I do.
Did you both enjoy Queen's Blood?
Was I loved it.
Something that you from the first match you loved all the way through?
Oh, it looks nice, but later on, there have been times where I wanted to bash my head on a pillow. All the times I freaking lost, and I just realized I just sucked at the game.
Yeah, I love Queen's Blood from the start.
I actually kind of went through a bit of a journey with Queen's Blood. I believe I played it. I'm not wanting to like card games. I've played like a bit of Magic the Gathering, such as that, and I loved Triple Triad, and Tetramaster was less okay, but I still enjoyed it for the most part. It's a little bit more of a bit more niche, if you like, especially with the rules of how that works. But so with Queen's Blood, I was very excited that they were adding a card game, because now in most FF games, or a lot of them, seem to have a card game like 8, 9, and then now a remake. Now Rebirth, and I'm sure 100% they're going to keep this in for part 3 because it's been such a big hit. But I was like not really overly, too enthralled with like, oh, cool card game. So I on my playthrough, I took it very, very relaxed. I was very chill with it, and I thought I'll try it out. And the first match, I was like, okay, this is cool. And then as I continued to play more games, I was beginning to think, it's not for me. And then I think around, and again, we'll get to that later on, but once we do like the birth and stuff, I was a bit like, I don't know about this. And then it grew on me more and more and more as the playthrough went on. And then I loved it. So it was like I went on a journey of loving it, not enjoying it, sticking it out and going, actually, this is cool. Now I understand it. Now there's more, like, there's not more rules, but the cards do more things. And you got to think a bit more outside the box. And
yeah,
I love that it was really testing your brain. And Kokiri might agree, testing your brain a bit too much. But overall, a fantastic minigame, and another a great change that they added to the game. Because I'm sure we'll talk about mini games and stuff like that later on. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Oh yeah, and I for one am hoping, please Square Enix, actual standalone Queen's Blood game, or make it so we can play against each other.
Yes, that would be actually really good, a standalone game like that. Yeah, or a physical collection would probably rake in tons of money.
Oh hell
like not even just for people to play, but just for people to collect.
Oh definitely.
Like FF trading card game.
Oh yeah. Like let me beat Kokiri in Queen's Blood Online.
No, thank you. I'll quit.
Fair enough. But Calm was definitely, and Queen's Blood was definitely a very good time for me as well. But then, of course, as we mentioned as well, as Neon mentioned as well, you obviously sneak out of Calm, and then we get our first proper look at the grasslands, our first proper chance to explore them. And as I said earlier, the in the original they weren't really. There was no landmarks. They were just kind of barren. The grass kind of changed when you got near to the Chocobo farm, stuff like that. And they definitely improved along the world. Like, I know one place that many people were very excited for was the Choco Farm. Because obviously, it's where you get your first summon in the game. It's where you get your first chocobo. It's how you do choco breeding. And I know a lot of people were very excited and maybe even hesitant to see the chocobo farm. I know I definitely loved the improvements they did with it. It was a lot more fleshed out. It wasn't just a paddock, a barn, and a silo and a house. It was more. It was like his own little community. Well, what did you think about it, Kokiri? Like the chocobo farm and that, and what you could do there?
It was pretty nice. I mean, a lot different from where to like way back when to where you actually can capture chocobos. We all know how much of a pain in the ass it is now in the original. But honestly, like getting to know like the farm and like being able to write about chocobos and thinking around, I was like, yeah, this is much better than what you do in the original.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what about you, Neon? What was your first opinions of the chocobo farm when you first saw it?
Well, I was excited, but I kind of semi knew what to expect because you do see at the end of intermission, you do see Chocobo Billy, and so you kind of have an idea of like who you're gonna meet. Which and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. They featured this guy in a truck, and they're driving us towards kind of like the farm area, which ironically they don't. They drive us outside of Cam, obviously. But seeing him, I thought, God, my God, he's detailed. Like, what is this? Like, where's my pixels at? But no, yeah, it was really cool. I actually didn't mind how they made us capture the chocobo in Rebirth. I actually thought, holy shit, like this is so cool. Like we're not just gonna go into a fight with the chocobo and throw a green at it and then just defeat the enemies and capture it. We're actually gonna go and bait the chocobo to go and eat some greens and jump on the back. And certainly not in the grasslands, but it's not overly too difficult. So it's fun, and they of course play the chocobo. I don't even want to call it chocobo. But what's that music called? The chocobo something music. But they play this music. It's not.
I think it's like
someone in the chat's gonna tell me.
I think it's like Chocobo. I think it was a Chocobo Electric to Chocobo. I think, or it might be something else.
Yeah, Electric to Chocobo or something like that.
Yeah, it's done in this like it's in remake as well. But I'm pretty sure you can collect the
vinyl
soundtrack
for it,
in the game. Yeah. But I really liked what they did with that, and even when you do capture it, you go back to the farm, and then they have you race around the ranch to win. It's basically just a little tutorial of you riding a chocobo. Hip hop de chocobo, that is it. That's the word.
Thank you, Welsh.
So I was like, is it hip hop rap something? Is it like a rap chocobo or something? But yeah, it's I love that they did that as well. Like it's so goofy that they did it. And again, some people think that FF7 Rebirth is a bit too silly. FF7 OG is just as silly, if not sillier. Like it's a goofy game. I mean, did people not see the scene in the original in the Honeybee Inn with the 5 naked bodybuilder guys? Like, come on, like this game is wacky.
So glad they didn't keep that scene in because that would have been very awkward for audiences.
Yeah, that wouldn't fit in too well in 2025.
No, definitely not. But yeah,
having said, I do think it was good, but they didn't wall market, but still.
Oh yeah, wall market was great and fleshed out. And yeah, like, I definitely love the chocobo as well. Like the fact you don't have to use the chocobo lure material as well. You actually get to like basically tame the chocobo. Like that was definitely a nice touch as well. And like you said, you didn't have to go into battle and you have to fight the chocobo or try and like throw greens at it. You literally had to like go into the wild and actually like capture it, and it definitely felt like a nice improvement. And we're going with the chocobo as well. I personally as well love how they fleshed out the world to where they encourage the chocobo, like they encourage exploration with the chocobo, like all the different things you got to do, like like the life springs and the enemies and the combat data, all that was definitely a lot more fleshed out. I find like having to again, like I said, having to use the chocobo and then encourage it. and just general stuff like that. But what do you guys think about like the general exploration of the areas, like the world, like using the chocobo and finding all these little side objectives and that? What was your take on it, Neon?
So, one thing I did really love for that FF7 OG that it kind of feels like no one ever spoke about. Maybe I'm sure someone did, but
Mm.
one thing they didn't add in, they didn't explain in FF7 original is summons.
Mm.
Like they don't explain like the lore about them, where
Yeah.
they came from, how they're to be. But in Rebirth, they kind of do via Chadley,
Mm.
or is it Maya or
I believe
Maya,
it's
something like that.
yeah, it's
yeah.
Chadley. It's Chadley for like the normal exploration stuff, and then for the battle stuff, it's Mai.
That's it. Oh yeah, Mai, that's it. And so like you've got her telling you about for example, in the grasslands area it's Titan. So they're
Mm.
telling you like, oh, so Titan destroyed some of this area of the land and when you think about it,
Mm.
it clicked on me and I was like, whoa, I was like, they're giving us fucking lore about Titan.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, this is sick because now this explains in the grasslands area why this area of grass is like so like elevated, like
Mm.
it's up and down and it's in shambles. So like maybe Titan was crashing and throwing rocks
Yeah.
around because that's what Titan does, right?
Mm.
So it kind of they made that make sense. So I loved that addition to it,
Mm.
and did a whole quote unquote mini game to to get this like information from these like I don't know what you want to call them when you got to press X square X to just get
Mm.
items information something. I
Yeah.
didn't mind that at all. They were stupid easy, and you can't really fail them.
Mm.
I failed them a few times, but you can't really fail them. Even like they're basically easy mode, but it's just something to engage with,
Yeah.
and that also coincided with me really enjoying these little live stream things that you find.
Mm.
This also gave you lore about the zone, which is also something else they extra added to world build on this, in this journey that we're going on. So I really enjoyed finding them, and those were easily located by following these. I'm going to call them owls for the sake of it, but these birds or
Yeah.
owls to their destinations, and I thought that that's a clever trick or an idea to do that. Something I didn't mind, and later as the game went on, I was getting a bit tedious, is the towers. The
Mm.
towers for me were a bit of a not a grind, but a bit of a chore at times.
Mm.
Um, and I think I don't like this whole tower system. Personally, if you've done the tower system in Rebirth, if you go to part 3, don't give us towers now.
Yeah.
I understand why they put them there. They put them there so we explore, to encourage us to explore these zones, and to also for the teleports, so we can teleport,
Mm.
which also makes sense. But it was just getting a little tedious and a bit uninteresting with the enemies that they leave at the bottom of these like ladders, and they seemed like they were trying to give us like a puzzle. So in some areas you might have to like use a grappling hook or climb from a cliff and then grapple hook onto it. And I kind of didn't mind that either. But I think that it was wearing off a little bit towards the end of the game. And I was like, okay, now it's a bit of a grind because they throw these big, large open zones at you. And it's like,
Mm.
okay, holy shit, like I've got work to do again. And, for a streamer, it's a little bit like, oh man, chat have got to watch me kind of run around. And,
Mm.
it's a little bit uninteresting. But some people are just vibing and hanging out and watching.
Yeah.
So that's my take on that. And I think the Proto Relics was also a fantastic addition.
Mm.
But I have maybe a bit of a hot take here. I liked the Proto Relics, especially in the grasslands.
Mm.
But and again, I'll probably touch a bit more on it later on. But then later on, there was a novelty of that I didn't so much appreciate as that went on. But I'll talk about that when we get to that.
Yeah. No, that is.
What about you,
that's it.
Gary?
Like with everything.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah, sure. The whole area, like exploring. Yeah.
Yeah. Like general exploration and.
It felt good. Like I feel like I love the way of fast traveling, being able to ride around on a chocobo. Just felt really neat. Like it felt like exploration was just like fast, and like being able to like explore and get to know the world, and it's like it just felt so good. It felt awesome, but it's like what Neon was saying and what you guys were and Bob was saying, going to all these, finding all these little relics, and you hear Chadley talking about lore about like, like the summons you encounter, and like, the girl talking about like, oh, this monster would do this and that.
Mm.
I was like, that's pretty sick,
Oh yeah.
But I just love like how, like, to me it didn't feel empty, but it felt massive, like a
Mm.
whole place to explore. Like everything just felt so real and so alive. Like Cosmo Canyon, Costa
Mm.
del Sol, the Corel prison, and like everything just felt so alive and massive. Like it honestly felt like you were there, and
Mm.
I was like, this is amazing.
Oh yeah, like they definitely I definitely love the fact that my, like you said, my gives you like, those little things about the monsters that we never really got before, like, like even when you have sense, you just go like, oh yeah, this monster, health, magic, there we go, weakness, there we go. But the fact that, we've got, this S materia, which even gives you a bit of lore about the monsters, but then to go obviously go further with my saying, this monster does this for its hunting habits or something like that, stuff like that, like I definitely, I definitely think, yeah, I agree, with that. Like that's pretty sick how Mai does that. And like you say, Costa del Sol, because of Canyon, the world doesn't feel empty doesn't feel like empty. You don't just go like, okay, I've left this area, I'm gonna go across these plains, hope I don't get a random encounter, or do if we want to grind, go to the next area. It actually feels like you want to deviate, you want to detour so you can you explore, like you're to use something like me, you're basically like someone like me, like someone with ADHD. You're like, okay, I'm gonna, oh, something shiny, like what's that over there, like you explore it, you want to explore, you want to to see everything. And I love how, yeah, they definitely improved that from the OG. Like they've given you the incentive to explore, to see the world and how much they put into it. And
Yeah,
it's, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, like, and it's like, and then even when we get to like, because there's a place that I was really excited to see as well was Junon. I was really excited to see when we get to Junon, and like, because obviously in the original, Junon is a very cool place. Big massive cannon coming out of the front of it. You've got the shops like at the base of the cannon. And it was, and like different levels and that, like, and it was very great. But then getting to Junon and going to lower Junon exactly as well, like for example, this like kind of like the slums area was definitely I definitely enjoyed that as well. I really liked how they did, and upper Junon, and how expansive they made it. It was definitely a lot of a big improvement. But what about you, Kokiri? What was your thoughts on Junon? Both upper and lower Junon when you first got to Junon.
Um, it felt pretty good, like, but honestly, I feel like with the entire game, it just felt
Mm,
like, we have to be, it's like, from your point of view, it's like, oh, we have to be cautious, like, what we're doing here, because, like Shinra is out to kill us,
mm,
we're on the wanted poster. So, like, we just, like, like, it's like, oh, like, of course we're on Shinra's death list because,
mm.
freaking Ruthless and Heidegger, or I call him Hamburger. I mean, am I wrong?
No, no.
I can't even make fun. I probably called it that when I was 10.
Probably.
I mean, like the fact is like we're on their death plate. It's like, oh, you gotta watch out for them and all that. But honestly, Junon just
Mm,
it was amazing, especially like the whole marching thing. Like at least it wasn't as rigged as it was in the original.
mm,
So I'm just like, so after playing the original, I was like, yeah, this is much better. This is much better for Rebirth.
mm. Oh yeah.
But it was pretty cool though.
Oh yeah, I definitely enjoyed the marching one as well. Making it a quick time event instead of just going like this button, this button, this button. Like the fact where it's actually interactive, it's animated, and you had to collect the soldiers, like gather the soldiers. And that I definitely think they did the march a lot
Yeah,
better.
yeah, because both of you correct me if I'm wrong, because like because I remember when I first
Mm,
was playing it, when I was first playing through the original,
yeah.
I was like trying to do everything I was supposed to do, and like,
Mm,
and you have the commander just like would be just be like, no, 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 again, if you mess up.
yeah. I
And
think.
that's all I just kept doing was
Mm,
like, I was like, first off, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do
mm,
exactly what you tell me. Like let me just fall in my place in line as I'm marching, And then here comes the command of the original. It's like, no, go back and do it again.
Yeah,
And it's
like,
I'm just glad, like, in this game, in Rebirth, they don't do that. I'm like, thank God.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And what about you, Neon? How did you like Junon when you first got to it? You know, both upper and lower, and the marching and all that. How did you feel that they improved on it?
I really loved the vibe that they were going with the kind of slums or lower Junin, if you like. I really loved the vibe. I loved the music in that area. Something you'll hear me talk about a lot is music, because obviously I know the music in most of the areas in the original game, but obviously a lot of these are new takes on music on that area, and each area of the kind of quote unquote world map has these own little themes, which you'll slowly see if no one's ever have played Rebirth. It's one thing you'll notice. Obviously, Grasslands is the main theme of FF7, which obviously makes a lot of sense. So hearing that they didn't continue that theme going, and ironically, this area outside of Lower June, this like whole area, if you like, is or was a part of a demo. But again, that was something I never played, so this was the first time I'd seen it. And I was kind of immediately blown away with seeing in the very far distance, like, that Fort Condor was there. But yet we knew that Fort Condor was a mini game, so I was a bit confused with that. But I thought that was really cool, and they opened that like this whole zone with the guy in the black robes just go off and get shooted off to wherever. It's like that guy that's like, oh, this guy's not gonna make it in the next rush hour, So I really loved Lower Junin's vibe. You really feel that you're in this like, I can almost smell the fish, right? You can almost smell the fish. Like, they got that vibe down, and I really loved what they did with Priscilla. She's so bloody cute, and she's actually adorable. Like, you can't not, can't not like her.
Oh yeah.
And she comes across as a little bit of a little shit in the original game.
Little,
Shinra.
little sister vibes in this one. Little sister vibes.
Yeah, so cute. And something that I will point out, just as another thing, I was quite interested to see what they did with Yuffie, having her be on this boat, and how she was involved with like the quote unquote bottom as well fight, or Terror of the Deep, how they were involved with that as well. So I thought that was really interesting, and that and then again, we know that there was a CPR minigame, but instead of giving us that, they give us the goofy scene of Cloud looking like he's about to resuscitate her with his arms open, about to grab her. Do that. So PG myself. But like, I thought that was really funny that they added the humor in.
Yeah.
And I thought it was quite interesting that they were trying to build this fake I guess incentive, if you like, from Yuffie to be like, oh hey, are you guys Shinra? Like, oh, and Barrett was like a bit being fanboyed on kind of thing. He was like, oh, she just wants our autograph, and and like he's like really taken by it, and he's like really feeling like that he's respected or something.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was quite interesting that they brought Roche to the bottom of the the motel or whatever it was that we stayed in.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a clever take on it, although it was just this weird scene of, oh, he's there and we're going to have to fight him, but not yet kind of thing, and he drove off.
Yeah.
But something that did throw me way off in this Lower Junin was this conversation that happens with Aerith in one of the motel rooms. You hear her talking, and then you hear this soft guy speaking. I'm like, who is that?
That threw me off as well, yeah.
This threw me off, and I almost forgot about it in my second playthrough of who and what that is. And spoilers, it's Red 13.
Yeah.
Right? Because he just walks out. But we obviously don't hear him speak like that yet, so we just think, well, that wasn't Red.
Yeah.
Because we know Red's voice, it's dark and it's mysterious. So that really, really, really threw me off. And but yeah, Upper Junin, I loved the whole thing. I loved the whole mini game of finding all the troops and stuff. I thought that was fun, and I just spent hours, or maybe not quite necessarily hours, but hours, maybe two, exploring the whole area, talking to every NPC, listening to dialogue, what they have to say, finding Barrett in his sailor outfit, and that was something I didn't. I think did I know that was a thing? I don't think I did. I don't know if that was in a trailer and I missed it or something. Oh no, it was in a trailer and I somehow had seen just that one particular snippet, so I knew it was happening,
Mm.
but didn't know when and where. So that was really fun. Finding Elena drunk in the bar was also a nice addition, and the rude bar, the bald
Yeah,
bar.
the
Oh
bold
my
bar.
god,
Oh, good
how
God.
goofy was it?
It
And they're all
was.
squeaking their heads and like
Mm.
this kind of still happens in the original, but not to that goofy comedic
Yeah.
time. And so it was just so bloody funny. And
Mm.
listening to, watching Tifa and Aerith in these soldier outfits looking absolutely cute as heck,
Mm.
and then
Oh, hell
following these
yeah.
roles of yes, sir, like so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I loved the change,
Mm.
but I think the big bombshell for me for that chapter and that whole thing there
Mm.
was seeing this assassination attempt
Yeah.
with Yuffie against
Oh dear
Rufus.
God. Oh dear
Yeah,
God.
That was like I
that
was
was
like
deep, man.
Mm.
yeah, I was like, what the fuck is going on right
Yeah.
now? Like I'm like, we're about to assassinate. I was like, this shit does not happen in the original. And then
Oh, yeah.
he's like bargaining a deal with him with Cloud, basically.
Yeah.
Him knowing that it's Cloud and then saying, look, Cloud, I will let you go, but the only thing that I want from you, I'll let Aerith go as well. The only thing I want you to do is like set her off.
Mm.
Basically, that's it. I think
Yeah.
that's what he says, and basically don't stir the pot anymore.
Yeah, he basically like says like, oh yeah, he basically pardons them if they just
Yeah,
choose to just don't interfere with Shimmer's plans and that. And you can see
Yeah.
Cloud is considering it as well because it would make it
Yeah.
easier for him.
and there's a part of me that wonders, like, man, what happened if we have accepted that? Like, how would the story have gone then?
Oh
But
yeah.
that really threw me off. I was like, holy shit, like, what is going on?
Mm.
And again, it was one of those changes where I was like, well, yes, it's a huge change, to be honest, but it didn't change much.
Yeah.
Because, it still kept the story flowing like it does in the original.
Yeah.
But it gave Yuffie a part of the story there.
Mm.
The only slight nitpick that I didn't like is at that point you still don't have Yuffie as a party member yet. Even though you see her in chapter 4, I think it would have fit in if they give you Yuffie in chapter 4 personally, because then
Yeah.
that way you'd have Red 13 from chapter 2,
Mm.
chapter 4 you'd have Yuffie, and so on. But from another standpoint, I understand, that they give us her a little bit later, and it gives us time to play with Red 13.
Yeah.
So I get it, but that was a little thing that I think they could have changed. But
Mm.
I'm not saying it was like, it's not a 9.9 out of 10 for me because of that reason.
No,
It's
no.
just something I pointed out. But yeah, that whole Junin section to me was a lot of fun. The minigame, again, we spoke about the minigame, but the minigame was a lot of fun.
Oh
It
yeah.
wasn't challenging. I was nervous because I was like, I'm gonna balls this up, but it was just the same as the dance minigame from the first game, but
Oh yeah.
stretched out longer. So it was something new, but something familiar, and I knew what to expect, and I thought it was good. Plus the additional things like tapping the export and not holding, which
Yeah.
didn't have to do in the original game. In remake. So
Mm.
that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed everything with it, though. There's not a great deal at this point that I didn't like. I was just blown away by the detail and graphics of the game.
Oh yeah, they definitely improved Junon a lot. Stupid fly. They definitely improved Junon a lot. In the viewers, I really enjoyed it. And looking in the chat as well, Bronx actually has brought up a good point. The big moment there for me wasn't the attempted assassination. It was Rufus just throwing out that he'd read Cloud's personnel file. What does that file say? How much does Rufus know about what Cloud really is? See, that's actually a really interesting question. Because that threw me off as well. I noticed that as well. Rufus said that he read Cloud's profile. Obviously, Cloud's profile wouldn't have changed, from him being an infantryman. So it makes me wonder: did Rufus know the truth about what happened and who Cloud really is, and they just didn't reveal it in the game? Like, what do you guys think would have happened if Rufus had maybe revealed that or hinted that Cloud was, an infantryman or he wasn't what he seemed? What about you, Kogi? What would you think that? How would you think that would have happened if that had been revealed?
That would be insane.
Like short and sweet.
Yeah, sort of straight to the point.
For me, I think if they had revealed any information about something personal to Cloud,
Yeah.
let's say they said to him that on record that he never made it into Soldier,
Yeah.
like just to put it out there that you were never in Soldier, So I don't know why you call yourself soldier first class. That you were an infantryman, which you was. But
Yeah.
if they said that to him, how would I have felt? I would have said, dude, they're like, that would just mess with Cloud even more. Like, he'd be like, well, no, I remember it. I did this and I did that. So I think it wouldn't have worked if they'd have done that, but it would have been so weird if they'd have done it. I think it would have just played a role as in like another kind of mind fuck.
Mm.
You know, because a lot of what we're seeing in FF7 Rebirth in some way or form is we see a lot of things from the player's perspective, right?
Yeah.
And I'll touch a bit more on this later on. You know, we're seeing a lot of things from Cloud,
Yeah.
you know, from his almost from his like personal point of view, I guess.
Mm.
But seeing him get more fucked up if he'd have found out some information there, or maybe like, something about his father, because there is rumors going around that the most silliest one, I think, which I can't say it's silly because it could be true, but someone told me that they reckon that President Shinra could be Cloud's father
I mean,
because of like the hair color
yeah.
and the age, you know, the age there, and how Rufus even has blonde hair
Yeah.
and you know about the same age as Cloud, which I think I don't see that being a thing. But then it's heavily rumored that Glenn, because I think this is the first time in that chapter where we actually see Glenn.
Yeah,
I think.
I believe it's around that kind of chapter, I believe, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and there's something already off with this Glenn guy. And you know, there's rumors that people are suspecting that Glenn could be Cloud's father. So again, if you read his personal file, you know, like maybe if Rufus had said, "Oh, something like along the lines of, you know, how's your dad Glenn doing?" or something like that.
Yeah.
Just again, that would have just fucked with Cloud because it would have been like, my dad died when I was young. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
I definitely like the the theory that Glenn is Cloud's dad, because apart from what we see in Ever Crisis, we don't actually know about Glenn. We know he turned against Shinra to protect an island and he like to fight for Wutai. But apart from that, we don't actually know about him. Outside Ever Crisis, Rebirth was the actual first appearance of Glenn, so there's definitely a lot of mystery to him. And as for the present Shinra being Cloud's dad theory, that one definitely has a bit of weight to it as well, especially when you figure out who Rufus's half brother is, because it was confirmed that President Shinra had an affair, and the director of Soldier, Director Lazard, is actually his illegitimate child.
Oh shit.
So yeah, so it's very possible that President Shinra maybe he did in Nibelheim go slumming, as it were, and had a bit of
Why can I hear
Slumming.
Don Corneo's beep
yeah.
when you say that?
Yeah, just maybe he maybe he met Cloud's mother for a drink, who we don't know, but I would definitely love for them to reveal something about Cloud's dad, because we don't really get we don't really get much about Cloud's dad. And like so, and obviously moving on from June on as well, like which obviously was an amazing thing. And one thing I did love as well, that I'm not gonna lie, I cried at, when the soldiers that Cloud leads, the way they salute him. The way they just you just salute him and just stand there saluting him as he goes down the elevator. I will admit I cried at that, because I really like those soldiers. I really bonded with them. They were great group.
Yeah,
like
that was so cool. So I'm gonna nerd out a little bit harder here. So after like the whole speech and the attempted assassination, you get this like combat, and it's like essentially like another kind of mix of the FF7 battle track, but it's sort of remixed to be a little bit. I can't quite describe the soundtrack. I can't forget the name, because they blend in like the FF7 does a thing, FF7 Rebirth and Remake, where they blend one soundtrack in with two or three at the same time. Like for example, they do Let the Battles Begins in chapter 2, I think, in Remake, and they have this music playing, and then during that they play the Shinra music, play it in the battle theme. It's very subtle, and it's like this dynamic music. It is beautiful. But in Rebirth, you go through this whole area and you're fighting down like these machine guns. These guys are following you, and you've got to keep them alive. And then you're fighting guys up on platforms, and it's quite a fast-paced thing. And you're going through all this cool thing, and then you end up fighting Roche, which also was. It felt a bit. I was a bit like, oh god, here we bloody go. And again, the FF7 Rebirth doing what it's known for best is playing different kinds of music. And I think it's jazz music for that battle theme with Roche.
Yeah.
Which I'm not really overly keen on jazz, but it's still pretty goddamn good. But after that, like you, Dark Farmer, that those soldiers are too likable.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Not them being like, oh, we wouldn't ever do that to you, sir, and we can't wait to, like, we're gonna support you, and then you have them all saluting you as you go down, and you can gamble 100% right now that those guys will be the guys that you see later on that submarine. In part 3, because in the original game you go on the submarine and you can take those guys as a hostage, but they're the guys that were performing with you in the original when you first visit Junon, when you're doing the parade minigame. So you can guarantee that those guys will be there.
Oh yeah.
And just like you can't not like them. But I really hope they don't have us choose to kill them or to take them hostage. But you're more than likely, surely, you're gonna do them a solid and take them hostage. But yeah, and the music that they play after Rush really adds weight to the feeling of these soldiers. I don't know if you've revisited that scene, Dark Farmer, but if you get a minute, like, go and have a listen to that music. It adds that feeling of, like, it's almost like an honor. I know that's a bit of a word in FF7 with Zack and everything, but this, like, soldier honor that they have for him, and that he's like, they're like, we hope to see you again, sir.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm sure we will.
Oh yeah.
And salutes him. I think that's such a sweet scene. It's actually one of my favorite scenes. Yeah, it's a really good scene. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, it's definitely something I like as well, because I always, when I first watched it, when I first watched that scene, I actually thought to myself, wait, did they figure out that Cloud and Tifa and Aerith were actually were the criminals and they just didn't care? Like, to me it seemed like they did figure out who they were, and they were just saluting them like, you've shown us, you've helped us become the soldiers we want to be. You've shown us real leadership and loyalty, and they're just like, we're going to salute you, even if you are the enemy, because you've done us a solid. And I definitely I agree with what you said at the submarine. I really hope that those guys are going to be the guys in the submarine, because that would just be a really nice touch.
If we don't see them for the submarine, I'd love to see them going through Junon again. Like, because you do travel through Junon later on for the underwater reactor anyway. So if you don't see them at the submarine, I'd love to see them through Junon.
Oh
and
yeah.
You can almost bet your bottom dollar it's going to be there.
Like, if the soldiers distract the other soldiers so you could sneak aboard the submarine or something, or that would be really good. Last little bit of helping their leader in that. And I definitely
maybe they sacrifice themselves in some way to save you or something. That would be kind of heartbreaking, though, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah. It would be heartbreaking. I definitely like the commander as well, because the commander, I thought she was a pretty cool character as well.
The lady in red, yeah.
Yeah. I actually gave my friend and mod T-Short a massive freak out as well, because he loves Edelgard from Fire and Three Houses. The same woman who does Edelgard voices her actually voices that commander, Tara Platt, and I gave him a proper freak out with it.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very nice how they get like voice acts from that and that. But yeah, of course, like you mentioned earlier as well, Leon. We also got the boat as well, where in the original it was an empty boat. You sneak aboard in uniforms. You walk around as a soldier. You talk to the others. And then obviously you see Sephiroth and fight a piece of Genova. But then obviously in Rebirth they completely rehauled that. It's more of a tourist boat. You've got all the different things. You got the Queen's Blood tournament, and ew. I definitely get good cooking. But yeah, you definitely have a lot to improve on the boat and that, And I love the music with the boat as well. Like, and I know Neon definitely does because one thing that he's and if you don't mind me saying this, Neon, one thing he did
Yeah.
with the boat is made a little song for the music. I'm pretty sure Neon would remember nipple tassels. Yeah, for those who don't know, for that little
That's,
bit where
out of
it's,
context, that sounds so bad that
does,
Leon
actually.
remembers nipple tassels.
someone quote that. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, for those who don't know, yeah, Neon like a little clip. You know, you got that little like Neon did like a little song like
Yeah.
nipple tassel to the string, and yeah, and even for the boat music, it was just it was completely rehauled and it made it a whole lot better. Like, but what did you guys? Obviously, Kokiri, you didn't like Queen's Blood, but apart with that whole sequence though, did you at least what did you think of the whole boat sequence in general, including well, we can talk about the Genova fight in a minute, but what did you like about the boat, like apart from obviously Queen's Blood?
I feel like I was on a Disney cruise, but with Magic the Gathering.
That's one way to
That's what
describe
it felt like. It just so. I mean, you have like all these pools, these fancy looking stairs. Like you have like all these announcers. Like it's like, come on, 1-0, let's go into the Queen's Blood tournament. It's like, and you're just hearing like the announcers who go in like as you're playing to the game is like oh, Cloud is cool but collective. I was like, why does it sound like something you would do if you were having a Magic tournament on a Disney cruise?
Yeah, you just get like.
When did you finish Rebirth?
I did.
When did you finish it?
I finished it last year in July.
Okay. Oh, so not you didn't play it on release, but you ended up finishing it about July. Okay, cool.
I mean, I did play it on day one, but then I just kind of went on and off on it.
Yeah. Here and there with it. That's fair. That's
understandable. Fair. Yeah, like you said about Disney Cruise, like you just imagine Mickey Mouse is going, "Oh, are you ready for a Queen's Blood tournament, everybody?" Like just yeah, just imagine. Just imagine Mickey going there, Next up, Cloud Strife.
Sorry, Mick. Here's my soldier card.
there you go, guys. He said he's a great voice actor. His Goofy impression, everybody, spot on. But yeah, Neon, what about you?
I just said Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah.
Sora.
What did you like about the boat though, Leon? I keep calling you Leon. Sorry. What did you like about Neon?
I call you back. It's fine.
Yes, it's true. But yeah, what did you like about the boat and that?
Yeah, so I really liked the boat. Actually before I'll answer the boat in the second, but one thing I was kind of blown away with was how big Chapter 4 is.
Ooh.
Like Chapter 4 literally starts after Mithril Mines.
Yeah.
Right. So you go through the mines. It's instantly Chapter 4. Chapter 4 ends when you get on that boat. So that includes the Terror of the Deep, all of the exploring around that kind of area, the Lower Junon, the scene with Cloud and Yuffie, the whole, CPR, if you like, minigame, the meeting Rush, fighting Rush later on, dressing up as a soldier, entering the Dolphin minigame, entering Junon, seeing Elena at the bar, the bold club, the assassination attempt, the fight with all the sentries and whatnot, and then the Rush fight, and then the saying goodbye with the soldiers, and then getting on the boat. So I was like, holy shit, how big is this game gonna be? Because I'm like, and I'm obviously like, the more they stretch out that game, the better and more justice they've done.
Yeah.
But something the developer said is, you will be surprised when you play this game how much we've fit in this game that you'll be asking how they managed to fit this game in. And so now we got to the boat. I'm like, holy shit, what do you mean Chapter 5? Like, we're not, we're so many hours into the game. We're probably like 40, 50, 60, 70 hours in the game. What do you mean I'm only on Chapter 5? So starting the boat, I was like, okay, this is cool. I was like, well, first off, they got rid of the music. So I was a bit like, oh, a bit sad for that because I do like that. But it opens up with a scene of, and this is also to counteract what I was just saying a minute ago, to bounce off my confusion in Lower Junon with Aerith and Red 13 in that room, is that Aerith mentions a guy called Faz. I think it's Tifa or someone says to Aerith, oh, have you heard from Faz again? And so I was like, who is this Faz? Maybe that's the guy that was speaking in Lower Junon in that room, but is it like a voice from the white materia or something? Like, what is it? Like, who is this Faz guy? So this really, really threw me off. In fact, even on my second playthrough, I kind of only just kind of clicked you know, who that voice was, but
Mm,
still, I'm still questioning about this Faz. But I
mm,
believe, and Bronx will be here to tell me, I'm sure. But Faz is mentioned in, I think it's a tale of a traces of two pasts. I think it is
mm.
the book. I
Yeah.
haven't read it yet. It's one of my kicking things
Oh,
I need to do.
on the way to you mean the book On the Way to a Smile?
No, it
No,
might
yeah.
be that, but I think it is in Traces of
It
Two
is,
Pasts.
yeah.
And I think I haven't read it, but I believe it's mentioned
Mm.
who this Faz guy
I
is.
mean, I can tell you if you would like, or
Oh yeah, remind me.
Faz is the guy who he was one of the people who, when Aerith and Ifalna was captured by Shinra, they're prisoners by Shinra. Faz was one of the people who took out who watched over them, like one of the scientists.
Oh.
And Faz was he was kind of he was it was kind of like he was like kind of like responsible for lifting our family to the wheelchair, taking care of them. um and he kind of showed them some more sympathy, like when for the like experiments and that, like Ivana begged him to give her a syringe, to numb the pain, so he gave her like a painkiller and that to numb it and that. And it's actually because of Faz that that Aerith and Ivana were able to escape from Shinra. He helped them escape. And
Yeah,
so that's
Faz
who.
Hicks.
Yeah, so that's who Faz
Yeah.
is. He's the one who helped them escape in that. Um,
I've just popped up Google to see. Yeah, it's
mm,
interesting. Faz Hicks is a character from Seven Traces of Two Paths. He's a researcher from Shinra Electronic Power Company,
mm,
working under Hojo on the Cetra project in the Shinra building. Part of the group that tested on Ifalna and Eris. Faz was responsible for allowing the two to escape during. Ah, I see. So, this kind of bounces off from Remake when Eris is talking about how she was raised in the Shinra building
mm,
to a point, and they eventually broke out with her mother,
mm,
which I'm presuming that's where she got. It doesn't actually. I don't know if anyone knows what Ifalna died of. It just
mm,
says some sort of like serious injury. So
yeah,
maybe she was shot and she bled out. I don't
mm,
know. But that's where the scene of that happens. I see. Okay,
yeah,
I never thought of googling that, but that is interesting. But yeah, Faz Hicks looks like he's got a profile picture and
mm.
everything. So maybe he was also or is also in Ever Crisis.
I'm
Right.
not sure. I think he was only firstly mentioned in A Trace of Two Paths, I believe. I don't think he's in Ever Crisis, unfortunately. I think he is just a character they made for A Trace of Two Paths. To add some a bit more, background to Aerith and Ifalna, in the Shinra building. But it's definitely interesting, like seeing that the fact that they've got that, they had that friend on the inside, and it's like someone in chat said, he was kind of infatuated with a fauna as well, which makes it a bit creepy. But it's Aerith did want to see him again to thank him in that, but unfortunately, it said that someone apparently, it's rumored that someone shot at Faz, and it's unknown what happened to him. So that is why Tifa says to Aerith, about seeing Faz and again and all that. Unfortunately, it's never known if Aerith actually did ever see Faz or not. But yeah, that's what she means by Faz. Yeah, the guy who helped her escape.
Cool. I'm glad that I was kind of cleared up because
Mm,
they mentioned this and I was so confused about who this Faz is. But in my defense, I should have absolutely read Traces of Two Paths, and I had many opportunities and still
mm,
didn't. I was meant to before Rebirth come out,
yeah.
and I would have maybe benefited a lot more with the references.
Mm,
There is a couple of references in. Well, there's a couple I think in Calm that also reference something that happens in Traces of Two Paths, but it's not very like big story driven
mm,
thing. And they also in Calm they reference Dirge of Cerberus.
mm.
Oh,
By there's some
Mm-hmm.
dancers that are dancing, and apparently this dance that they're doing is some dance that they do in Ham in Dojo Cerberus apparently.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of references here and there that if you're a not I'm not saying I am, but if you're a big law geek and
Mm,
you know this game inside out, you probably would have gotten these references. And I don't know if there's anyone out there who knows absolutely every single detail from every single game
Mm.
to get every single reference. I'm sure someone will point something out and you go, "Shit, I didn't know that."
Mm.
But I think that's really cool.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the boat itself was really good. I was thrown off by this Faz. I was like, "Who the fuck is this Faz?" Like, is that a guy with a light voice? Familiar.
Mm.
The design of the boat was interesting. They definitely made it more of a tourist attraction, as you said.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel. I still don't know how I feel about seeing like Madam M, Andrea Rodea, and all these other cool characters from Remake to kind of like tread along with our journey. Like it's
Yeah.
almost like keeping these characters and having them follow us along. When I think it might have been sort of semi good to leave them in Midgar where where they are meant to be, and maybe part 3 would see them. But I also kind of see their point of, oh, well, you like these characters, so let's just throw them in the game.
Yeah.
They didn't obviously include a lot of these characters in the original game, but one character that does follow you around a lot in the original game, if you pay attention, is Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny is absolutely following you around and looking suspiciously like he's masturbating a lot of the time when you see him. So
yeah, I remember that from the original game. Just the way he's just
like he's always in the corner, and if you always go near him, you hear the noise. And I don't know what that animation is. Square Enix, don't tell me, please. Don't ruin my childhood. But no, it was really good. And then I'll make a small segue here and say that that the Queen's Blood tournament was fun and absolutely rewarding for the scene that we do get. But for those who didn't enjoy it, I like that there was an option to not participate. But then you would have maybe had a really short chapter 5. But then they give us this like build up for the Genova fight, which I think was really cool. Because the original game, it's like, oh, we've got some intruders on board.
Yeah.
And just to point out, in the original game, the boat is literally 4 screens. There's not that many screens. There's 4 screens.
Yeah.
That's it. So to take us through this journey of defending the boat for a little bit. And then to take us to the Genova fight. Holy shit, that Genova fight.
Oh, yeah.
That Genova fight is so, like, goosebumpy because the music for that fight has, like, this, I think it's children choir, like, orchestra playing. Like, if you ever go back to listen to it, it's like, once it really kicks in, that soundtrack is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, it shivers down your spine when you're listening to it. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit more, but Genova's design gets oddly more creepier as we go on.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to pointing out something that I'm not the only person that knows what I'm about to mention later on. But I'll mention that a little bit later on. But yeah, that was a really good fight. I actually found it kind of difficult, and I played on Dynamic. I think I switched to Dynamic in Chapter 4 because enemies were dying like triple slash. Right? All enemies dead. I'm like, okay, I need enemies to live longer so I can actually press an ability. So I switched to Dynamic, and that boss was a lot more challenging.
Oh, yeah.
And as it got late game, Dynamic really came through with giving me like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of difficult now. So I loved the whole, but I thought it was good fun. I think it was a nice addition and a nice change, and didn't drag it out, but I'm glad that they stretched out to feel like you're on a boat and it's not, a 10-minute journey.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they definitely improved the boat a lot, and yeah, like you said, the Genova fight. Yeah, I had chills doing it. The music, the fight. There was a lot to love about the fight. Instead of just a simple it's something big and ugly and tentacly, kill it. No, it was instead of more of it was more of like this action packed like Resident Evil meets Devil May Cry kind of freaking fight. Like it was insane.
They have to do it like so it's fucked up. Like the first glimpse we get of Genova really is obviously in Remake, and they kind of kept that vibe going for this boss fight, which is completely fine. I would still would like to see some sort of maybe different form of it.
Yeah.
Like a different version of it, a different kind of. But I think that they'll get onto that in part 3.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Probably.
Oh yeah.
Just pointing this out. This is just random information here. I
Mm.
think this is quite an interesting take. I don't know if it's true,
Mm.
so I don't know. But there's a theory as to why Genova looks the way it looks.
Mm.
And it's a bit of a story time with Neon Genesis here. But so as the meteor came down and blew up, into the crater
Yeah.
at the northern part of the world, this was where we believe to think where the Promised Land was.
Yeah.
This was also known as the Null's Pole, where the Cetra were living.
Yeah.
But Genova started to infect these Cetra, killing them one by one. And I believe Genova has two abilities that are super powerful, and that is
Yeah.
the power to mimic and the power to manipulate.
Mm.
And I believe she took on the form of a Cetra and was tricking these people, these Cetra, and killing them slowly. I'm not sure what they died of. I haven't done the Wikipedia search. Maybe it was geostigma or something. But it's rumored to be that's why Genova, even now, from the original game, so Kakiri might be able to like think back and go, "Oh shit, that's actually kind of cool." But when you see her in the flashback, when you do the cam flashback, and you see her in her like test tube, whatever, that she's a female with like blonde long hair or whatever it is she's got, and she's got like the apparatus on her head saying
Yeah.
Genova. So this is why it's rumored that she has got a female human-looking appearance. I don't know if that's confirmed, but I think that kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah.
And I only triggered out literally. I only twigged 3 days ago, 4 days ago, why in the Shinra build in the original game that it is actually headless, but because of this white like kind of silhouette, it's hard to tell. And I was like, well, where the hell is its head? And then I had to think about it and think, well, it's with Sephiroth as a Northern Crater, because we see the flashback in the original game. Well, the actual truth flashback, where we see that Sephiroth had a hold of Genova's head when
Yeah.
he walked out of the pod. So it makes sense when people go, well, where's her head? It fell in the live stream. Well, yes, it's with Sephiroth of the Northern Crater. So it makes you wonder if maybe this is why maybe Genova has some sort of connection with Sephiroth. Because apparently Genova only works with people who have traces of like Genova cells in them or something, or being affected or something like that. So it's quite interesting, and it all kind of tallies and adds up. But I just thought that was interesting. An interesting concept of why she looks female, and I think, so don't quote me here, I think in that Genova fight on the boat, she looks like she, he, they, them. I don't know. I don't know what her, what she goes by. But she looks messed up, but her eyes look human.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like all red.
Yeah.
Like you got skull face and that, and you got the eyes inside it.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got the skull, but you've got human white eyes looking at you, and it's like for a game that is like, meant to be a fantasy game. It's really eerie.
Oh yeah, that's like some Resident Evil kind of shit right there, like that. Yeah, it's very good too. And there's definitely a good fear as to why Genova looks like very female, and as someone in the chat said, she also she had like an eye on her boob and all that, like, but yeah, and it actually brings something to mind as well. Something like you said about on the live stream, something that never actually was explained. Something that was never actually explained in the after 7 that in Advent Children they find Genova's head, but if it's in the live stream, I always wondered how they got it. Like, was Genova not like would it not been just stuck in the live stream? They never explained it. So I would love for them to see like explain like how maybe explain that in Rebirth Part 3 maybe, and maybe just go into Genova a bit more. But what about you, Kokiri? What did you think of Genova? In the Genova fight on the boat and that.
It was very interesting, and like compared to like parts of what we actually saw in remake, it's just like to me like Genova just kept growing and growing and growing, and I feel like as we progress even further, like it's like Genova's just gonna keep expanding, like in remake, we start seeing like body parts and tentacles as what Neon was pointing out.
Yeah,
and then like, and then in Rebirth, it's like, oh, tentacles, face, skull, eyes. It's like it just keeps growing and growing, and I feel like what's gonna happen like with 3 is like it's just going to keep growing, right? Because
Yeah.
isn't that what wasn't that like the whole point of it in the original? Like correct me if I'm that.
Yeah,
Like
in
didn't
the
throughout the original, like Genova just kept growing and growing and growing
yeah.
and growing.
Yeah, it started out like kind of like this pinkish creature, and then you get like it goes like then it goes like kind of reddish, and then I believe the third, because I believe you fight it 3 times. If I'm right, Neon? 3 times I think in the game, because you have like what was it? You had was it Genova Birth, or 4 times? You had Genova Birth, Life, Death, and then Sympathis, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm.
For the longest time, even back to when my early speedrunning days, like 4 years ago, I always felt like the enemy in the Shinra building, the sample boss, I always thought that was Genova.
Mm.
Because, I mean, again, I was 10, so I was
Yeah.
tricked by thinking, oh, you see that Genova's broken out. So you think maybe, and I thought maybe that's what we were fighting.
Mm.
So that's what I thought for the longest time. But that
Yeah.
sample, it was just a specimen, as they call it.
Mm.
Hence the reason why they call it a specimen in remake. It was not Genova, but yeah, I think you're right. It's 4 Genovas we fight.
Yeah.
Genova Life,
Yeah, because I think
Birth.
there's
Oh, sorry, Genova Birth,
yeah.
Life, Death, Synthesis.
Yeah, because
Yes.
obviously we have Birth on the boat. We have Genova Life at the Temple of the Ancients, I believe, and then I think we then had Genova Death in the temple in the Northern Crater, I believe, when we go into the Whirlwind Maze. And then, of course, we had Symphysis when we go down to the planet's core. So, like Kira said, Genova changed its form. With from birth to life, she gets more red, kind of like, and then she gets more. She changes attributes as well. So she starts using, I believe it's fire. I think she starts using, and then of course, going up to like Genova Synthesis, where she's like this big, massive, kind of like pulsating ball, and you just see like a woman's kind of body, like with tentacles out the front and that, and so it's it definitely feels like she's slowly she's slowly obviously growing back to how she was. And that's how I felt in remake and rebirth as well. Where you see these different forms, and I can't help but think: is Genova going back to reverting to how she looked 2,000 years ago? Like, was
Mm.
this her actual form, or is this a form that Cloud and his friends are just seeing? Like, there was a lot to unpack there, as I found. And of course, best thing about the fight, in my opinion, as well, the music. Like you said, Neon, the music and Genova fights were just plain amazing. Like, just plain
Something
amazing.
something that I think is interesting about the original game, is that they give you these names of birth,
Yeah.
life, death, right?
Mm.
And yet they give us these, remake games of remake, rebirth. It's gonna be called real life,
Maybe?
or I don't know. It's just another theory. I mean, it's not far from thinking about it. But something that is interesting is that they all have kind of like their own versions of kind of almost elements. They
Yeah.
don't really have one for Genova Birth. It just does stop and laser, which I think is
Mm.
sort of a non-aspected element.
Yeah.
But Genova Life is interesting because it's water-based, and a tragic part of the game has happened, and yet
Yeah.
you're I mean, for those who did cry anyway, you're the typical player maybe anyway would be crying because obviously it's such a tragic scene, and it's almost like the game is crying with you by giving you a water-based boss.
Yeah.
So I think that is quite a nice little kind of theme that they went with that.
Mm.
And of course they call it Genova Life
Yeah.
when they're taking Erev's life. So
Yeah.
that is quite interesting. Oh, well, Seth Roth
Mm.
takes a life, I guess, but although Seth Roth is in the Northern Greater, so technically it's not Seth Roth.
Yeah.
But I thought that was quite interesting. Then obviously it goes to Genova Death where it's fire based,
Yeah.
and every attack it does is fire based. So you can't die if you've got like a fire ring on, and same goes for the water ring on the Genova
Yeah.
Life. But Genova Synthesis goes back to not having any kind of, I don't think so anyway,
Yeah.
any kind of weakness. Unless it's like weak to holy, I don't genuinely
I'm
know.
not
But it doesn't have
sure.
it doesn't have like a basic element like a fire,
Yeah.
ice, lightning, or anything like that. It's just whipping you with tentacles. And I think the original game wanted the models of these Genovas to look different, but with limited, technology to do
Yeah.
that. And I think that they gave you this Genova Synthesis of this other epic version of, oh my god,
Yeah.
that doesn't look like Genova. We must be at the core of where Genova was buried
Mm.
years ago by the etc.
Yeah.
because I forgot to add that, but the Cetra ended up burying
Mm,
Genova because they were killing off these
yeah.
killing off the Cetra, and then eventually Shinra find and
Yep.
dig it up.
Because damn
So
Shinra.
yeah, so and hence
Mm.
hence why they get into the whole soldier project and
Oh
stuff like
yeah.
that. So,
It's
but yeah, I think Genova itself is just a really
mm, um
interesting creature.
it's funny you mentioned the bosses in the water and the fire in the original game as well, because
Mm,
something that I had replaying the game over the years as well. I actually had a bit of a theory come up with those bosses as well,
mm,
because well, a couple of theories. Because obviously, we obviously know, if anyone's played the game, we obviously know, the Genova throughout Sephiroth throughout the game is actually Genova taking on Sephiroth's form, and like you said, he's in the Northern Crater.
yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
when Genova kills Aerith in the City of the Ancients, um, I always felt that, like, I had the theory that, did Genova take Aerith's life force with that kill, and then
Mm,
that's why you fight Genova straight after. I always thought that maybe Genova, like, that's how Genova sustained. Like, she took Aerith's life force, and then that again, that's why Genova life. And it's something interesting as well. You say as well, about the water and that, because
mm,
water is seen as the source of all life. So Genova life
mm,
being water based, that definitely makes a lot of sense as well.
it does.
Source of all life and that. And the same with the fire. Fire. It's people see it. It fire burns, it kills, it destroys the world. So
Cremate.
Yeah.
having that as Genova death's
And yet
element.
it's called Genova Death as well. Yeah, yeah.
And the funny thing is as well is, with the Genova synthesis as well, it not having any element. Or it seems like it doesn't have any element.
Yeah, yeah.
To me, that always seems like the emptiness after death, the nothingness after death, which I always found was pretty cool. Genova is now the nothing. Like, it's basically the nothingness after death, which I always thought was a pretty cool kind of little theory. Like, they're going on, like, the whole cycle of life, and then again, life at nothing after death.
Yeah.
But yeah, Genova was definitely obviously improved in in Rebirth, and I love what they did with the names as well. Like, obviously we don't have Genova Life. We have, I think it's in remake, it was Genova Dreamweaver. Um,
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called in Rebirth, but I know it was like Genova. I can't remember what it was called,
I
but
can't even remember on the
mm,
boat. I don't know if anyone in chat knows either.
no,
Yeah.
I try to remember as well. But yeah, they definitely improved Genova a lot. And of course, moving obviously from the boat. Oh, Emergent. Thank you, Bronx. Thank you. Yes, Emergent.
Oh, yeah, that's a. I will just say one thing as well.
Mm,
There was I lost trail of thought again
yeah.
about Genova. Oh yeah, something I also find interesting.
Mm,
What interesting, but also what I think that they were trying to do in FF7,
mm,
and I think this explains why they end up throwing these pieces of Genova at us. Is I think that we're kind of meant to be fighting a piece of Genova every time.
mm,
So, like, let's say we're fighting an arm
yeah.
or we're fighting a leg or something like that. And I think that's what they were kind of going with
Mm,
the original game, and maybe synthesis was like, I don't know, the head, right?
yeah.
Is the Northern Crater, which also lines up with where I said that the head has gone to be,
Mm,
So it does make you wonder if that's what they were trying to get you to do. But obviously they
yeah.
kind of shied away from explaining that per se
Mm,
in Rebirth. But I think that's what they were trying to kind of go with. But with limited graphics of showing you what they're throwing at you, just seeing
mm,
a tentacle lying there.
yeah.
Yeah, is it a tentacle? Is it meant to be an arm? Is it a leg? What is it
Mm,
meant to be? Or is it, or is it just like a piece of
mm,
DNA or something? It's really hard to kind of you know to
yeah.
see what they're trying to go with on that one.
Because I always did wonder that in the game. It was like, well, okay, we just beat Genova. Why is there a random tentacle there? It's like, it never made sense to me. But no, I definitely like that theory. Like, that definitely seems like, yeah, it definitely, we are fighting pieces of Genova with the actual, synthesis being the head. But yeah, it's definitely, I think that's definitely a sound theory of that one. But yeah, like I said, after the boat as well, we get to a place that many people were excited to see, Costa del Sol. Now, of course,
Mm.
in the original, Costa del Sol was a pretty cool place. You had, what was I believe it was 3 screens, I think, maybe 5 outside. No, 5 if you include inside, I believe. Probably more. I'm probably counting wrong. But yeah, but then of course we go into Costa Sal and it's been expanded. They've got segways, or however you want to call them. They've got
Mhm.
all
Yeah, they
these.
call it segues, yeah.
Yeah, they've got all these people, like, coming and going, and you can actually see like the people walking around on holiday, and you've got all these little mini games you can get for clothes and that, so you can get some beach clothes. And I was definitely excited about Costa del Sol. Like it was definitely a place I was really excited to see. But what about you, Kokiri? What was your first opinion of Costa del Sol when you first walked into it?
Vacation. That was always was my.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, it took a nice. It was. I mean, honestly, it was a nice place to like
Mm.
relax and unwind from like all the fights and stuff like
Mm.
that, and like being able. And then of course, it was really interesting to see Johnny again. It's like, hey guys, I got a cool hotel, but it's like it's like it's like a piece of shit hotel and all, but yeah, I'll let you guys stay here,
Mm.
But I just love it. Like I want to say one of my favorite segments was playing the soccer game as Red 13. That was really fun.
Oh yeah, I love that game.
That was really, really good. But I just like it was just really cool to like explore like Coast of the Soul, doing all it is, riding around on the electric scooters. That was nice. And then I had so many questions like when you finally arrive on the beach and you see like you're seeing Hojo being swooned by these girls. I'm like, what the hell is up with this man getting swooned by all these girls? It's so freaking weird. It's like, yes, ladies, do all of this for me. It's like, these guys here. Okay, kill, bye. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, can y'all just like kill him? He's just right there. Just kill him.
Oh yeah,
But it was really fun to explore. But also, the fact that we got to see Tifa play on the piano.
Oh yeah, Tifa playing the piano was absolutely beautiful. I love the Tifa playing the piano.
Yes.
What about you, Neon? What was your first impression of Costa del Sol when you first saw it?
Yeah, straight off the bat, I'm like, they're going, oh, this is that music that we all love to hear. So I'm really happy with the music that they kept it. I wasn't really too thrilled by the segues. Like everyone was like, "Oh my god, segue!" When they saw it in the trailer, I was just like, "Yeah, whatever, segue." But one minigame that I really did enjoy and was not actually thinking I was going to enjoy it all was the piano minigame. I loved it. Like I loved playing the piano, and I turned out to be all right in the end. But I was addicted to doing that minigame. I did like the Red 13 like soccer game or football game. I'm a Brit, so in it. So I'm gonna say football. So I did really like the football game. I thought that was really cool. I love that they make you go around and you're able to change these outfits and things. It's definitely a nice little lull in the game for you to just enjoy and vibe in I almost called salsa in Costa del Sol. I did like the aspect of what they were trying to they feel the vibe that they were going with, and kind of like Lower Junin, you could almost feel the heat.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, here we are, we've made it. And I don't know if we're ready to move on to that bit, but one of my favorite parts of Costa del Sol is what they did with, and I'm probably stealing Dark Mammoth's segue here, but the fight and the story on the beach with Hojo.
Oh yeah.
Hojo, the scene with like Hojo and even down to making Cloud choose who do you save, Aerith and I don't know if it's Aerith and Barret or is it Tifa and Red. Like it's one or the other, and you have to kind of choose. And at that point, like I'm not one of these. I'm definitely straying away from this whole shipping war thing. But like I hate choosing because I love them both to bits. I love both these girls so much, and obviously the other characters, and to be in a position where I have to choose almost like a favorite, I hated it. But I loved what they did. I love that they made you fight with an umbrella. Nice little nod to Crisis Core with Zack. Thought that was brilliant.
Oh yeah.
But yet they added that, but they kept the fight still serious. And it was quite kind of dark. He was like trapping all these and taking one by one our party members, and Yuffie actually coming in kind of clutch with that with her shuriken and freeing us. And, like so cool. Loved that change. Never saw that happening. And the original game, like honestly, in speedruns we just literally grab 3 items and leave. Like we don't spend time in Costa del Sol at all. And there's kind of one cutscene, if you class it as a story cutscene in the original game, if you choose to, on the beach with Hojo in his little scientist outfit on lab coat on the beach. Other than that, that's it. So you just leave and it's just a pit stop. But in this game, they give you story. They give you the lab coat with Hojo, which they had to do, I think. They want to be true to the original, but then they give you this cool fight, which is, like I said, a nice nod to Zack as well a little bit, and then this absolutely stunning scene on the beach where the sunset's gone down. You get a little bit of dialogue with all your party members, but the big major one was Aerith, where she drops a few truths. She's like almost talking to her future self. She does actually say like, "Oh, I'm talking to the other me. I'm talking to future me." I don't know if you remember those scenes, but it's a very. I did tear up a little bit at that scene because I thought there was quite a bit of a tearjerker and just a really beautiful moment and a nice end to Costa del Sol. Like you can tell it was coming to a close. So I loved that. It's still like one of my favorite parts of the game. Like if I'm doing Costa del Sol, I'm like, okay, I don't really, once you've done it once or twice, it's like I don't want to do all these little mini games and stuff in Costa del Sol. But I do look forward to the beach as a reward for seeing those scenes and doing that fight.
They definitely improved on Costa del Sol, especially again with the battle and that, and the outfits and that, like I personally, had Cloud in the blue shirt outfit, so I thought it looked more casual, more. Same with Tifa and her shirt and shorts. I thought it was more elegant, more like Tifa. But I know that.
Yeah, I'm the same way with you, Dark Farmer. Like I know these guys are like, oh, the Tifa boobs and all this. But I'm like, it's kind of like with outfits in the game. Like I know you can choose outfits on second playthrough, but I'm a bit of a purist. I'm like, I need to have my. My OG's outfits because that's just the way I roll. Like if I'm having a silly playthrough, I'll absolutely do it. But I know Kakiri likes boobas, so that's.
We all do.
Well,
we're men.
When you put it that way,
we're men. What do we say? Of course, though, it's more for Neon. It's less for Neon because obviously, his girlfriend's in chat judging. So.
I mean, they're all right. They're all right.
Oh yeah.
It's all right.
But Costa del Sol definitely was definitely a trip. I do love Costa del Sol. And it was like a nice little change, you're very urgent, you're an urgent mission, but you can take this time to relax, walk around Costa del Sol, and and I love that, with Johnny's hotel, like Kerry mentioned, he has that list of like that big wall of treasures, that, and it's all the trophies that you can get through the game from the challenges and all that, and I really do love that little touch as well. You can actually keep track of what you've done with the mini games. I still have like 2 I need to do. Fucking pull-up minigame. I know Crunch's minigame. God damn it. But yeah, I definitely love the little touches you can do that. And then of course, after Costa del Sol, just like an OG, the next place we go to is definitely a place that a lot of people were excited to see. Just because of how sad it is in the original, just how heartbreaking it is in the original, and that's Corel. Like, we go and see Barrett's hometown. We go and see the ruins of Barrett's hometown and the whole Barrett segment in the desert with Dyne, and there was, I know many people, I remember seeing many people going about, oh, how are they going to do that? How are they going to do the Dyne fight? How are they going to do Barrett and Dyne's story? And I know it definitely broke my heart when we actually rescued Dyne. You think, okay, at first he's okay, he's fine. But then he starts talking to his wife and Marlene, who are obviously not there, and it starts to hit home that this guy's gone through some shit. Like, I definitely loved the way they did Corel. Very heartbreaking, very emotional. But what about you, Neon? How did you love Corel? Like, how did you enjoy Corel when you first got to it?
Okay, so my answer might be a little bit lengthy here, but it's fine. I'll try and abbreviate. So after leaving Costa del Sol, and even well, she's brought it up, but the climb through Mount Corel to get to it, the climbing music is incredible. They obviously Yuffie's joined your party now, and you've got this new addition to a member.
Yeah.
this climbers high, in brackets quotation, climbers high that Aerith gets, of never been in a mountain before, because she's never seen mountains. So she is climbing this mountain and getting a climber's high, and she's like, "Let's go!" And Red's like, "Listen, like she's got climbers high, it's fine. I'll carry her if I need to." And it's this really comedic scene, and also a really cute scene where, you're climbing this Mount Corel, because you do that in the original game, so they want to give you an area to go through.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. They have you going through this whole section, and you have Yuffie and Barrett's drawings. I'm guessing Yuffie's drawing
Yeah.
to signify, okay, we've gone this way, and with an arrow pointing which way to go. So I thought that all that was really cool. You get that scene at the large pool of the weapon coming out of the ground. That was when I first saw that whole location, I was like, whoa,
Oh yeah.
And it's still this is a guy who played like a Commodore 64 and even previous generations of consoles. For me to see when I turn back at Mount Corel and see Costa del Sol in the distance, and I've gone, dude, I haven't even had a load screen yet. What the fuck is going on? Like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know how they're doing that, like with the load screens and deloading some areas, but holy shit, was I impressed. So seeing all that was really cool. The little kind of, I'm gonna call it the solo section, with Yuffie going around and flicking switches and stuff. Like, they made all that really fun, and yet they made it tie into Cloud losing his mind a little bit with nearly falling into the water and following black robes. So I thought that was really cool, and they really and the game does one thing that some people might find annoying, but I love that they do it, where they divide the group up a lot. So people want to use their, favorite party members, which you will get to do in part 3. But in this game, they give you opportunities to get good at other characters. So they kind of force it on you. And where I know that's a bit of a punishment, it kind of makes the game less still for you. So you're forced to kind of okay, maybe, and maybe you're like, okay, I'm not very good at Aerith, but okay, actually now that I've played with her for like an hour now, maybe I'm actually kind of good at her now. So I love that they do that. And the mini game on the mining cart and choosing which route you want to go with Barrett, or do you want to make Yuffie ill or something. That all of this was just so much fun, and this music is again incredible because it's the climbing music that you have, which then goes to music which I think is certainly a mix of Yuffie's theme for the Yuffie solo section, but a really nice track.
Yeah.
And then goes back to the climbers music for you to flick the switches and the levers. So all this was really cool until we get to Coral and or Corel. And Corel, whew, I've been on a journey with Barrett all my life. Like when I was younger, when I used to play the game, my brother was always Cloud. And I was always Barrett.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think it was the first 2 characters in the game you get. So, I guess there's a bit of a personal thing with Barrett. But as I got older, I actually kind of twigged Barrett's backstory. I was like, holy shit. Like, it was only with speedrunning when I analyzed and humanized Barrett when I went, holy shit, he's been through like a lot of shit. Like, people don't know some stuff about Barrett that's not actually spoken about in the game either. Such as after the events of what happens to Corel, like he ended up camping on the streets with Marlene to get to Midgar because he'd heard about Avalanche. So that's Wikipedia that, but yeah, it's really cool. He's been through some shit, and this vibe that they give off when he enters. People like pouring drinks on his head and swearing at him, and you've obviously we know from the original game we kind of know the vibe we're gonna get. And I don't know if you want me to touch on Gold Saucer or just to focus on Barrett?
We can touch on Gold Saucer in a minute.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I loved Corel's like little broken down town. I think that it all made sense, and they made Dr. Sheeran a really important character. Who again is also mentioned in Traces of Two Pasts. So they're really tied in with how Barrett. Sorry, how in Barrett's town this doctor had saved not only Barrett but also Tifa, so it kind of tied in that, because the original game before the book anyway, I don't know if we ever knew how this was patched up and how what happened and what event. So, but I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal what they did with that town.
Oh yeah.
And perfect size. Like it's not too small, not too big. They give you a few huts to go inside, and of course Queen Blood's there. So yeah, I really really enjoyed it.
Kokiri's favorite.
Who?
Yeah, good.
But yeah, like with Corel, you could definitely see like the desolation that they've suffered from,
Yeah.
the Shinra incident and all that. Like it definitely And how did you like the Dying fight? Like skipping over the Sorcerer because we can talk about the Sorcerer separate. But how did you like the Dying fight and how they did the Dying fight?
Me or
Oh
Kikiri,
yeah,
or...
you Neon. Sorry, yeah, I'll ask her Kokiri
Oh,
in a
the
minute. Though.
Dine fight. So, I actually really liked the Dine fight,
Mm.
but, I'm gonna be a bit of I'm a little bit of a purist. I didn't mind the way that the original did it. I think
Mm.
it was fine if they'd
Yeah.
have done it the way the original gamer did it. I don't mind how they did it for Rebirth.
Mm.
My only one pet peeve with the whole Dine fight is the final phase where he's like becoming one with like the rubble.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this Resident Evil 7 shit could like we don't need that. Like
Oh yeah.
to me, that was where they were, for me that was like they're adding too much, because
Mm.
what they try to do in this game is they try to elevate everything. Like they give you the original and then they add to it,
Yeah.
and certain things just don't need that doing to it. So I didn't need Barrett's best friend to have this really long arm of rubble swinging around the, like that was just like it didn't need that. I
Yeah.
would have been genuinely okay if they'd have done what they did with phase 1 of Dying, walking and firing at you and talking about, saying some lines about, you took my Marley, whatever. And then maybe getting the second phase of him ramping up his game and giving you like, firing rockets at you or something.
Yeah.
That would have been cool as well, because he kind of does that in the original.
Mm.
But to give me a phase 3 where I'm like, okay, he's got like 4 tentacles coming from the ground and all this, I'm like, no. We didn't need that. That was
Oh yeah.
This isn't Final Fantasy Resident Evil. This is Final Evil 7 or something. Like we don't, we didn't need that. That was where I drew the line.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
where I was like, oh, I didn't need it.
It's
But I
yeah.
will say that John Eric Bentley's performance as Barrett for the scene with
Oh, yeah.
with Dine was certainly heart wrenching. Very very graphic,
Yeah.
and maybe they made the changes because it's a little bit too real with what FF7 does, with having someone literally commit suicide off a and
Yeah.
how could they show that? Like, how
Yeah.
can they display that and tell a story, but give you tragedy? So they did it in a way where Dine sacrificed himself to shoot all these soldiers. But I also felt like really bad for Barrett, because Dine literally says to Barrett, no, you hold onto that guilt or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, like for your final words to say that.
Yeah. It's based like a middle finger, like your last little middle
Yeah.
finger, like oh. Because like like I said before, you find Dine and his mind is broken. Like he's
It's so bad, yeah.
he's an
It's
empty
like
shell.
it's essentially kind of almost like Alzheimer's or something, isn't it? He's like, oh look, or something, because he's like he's looking across the
PTSD.
room. He's like, yeah, right. He's looking and saying, oh look, she's over there.
Yeah, like you're here for Marlene's birthday. It's like oh shit.
Yeah, like there's no one in the room.
It's
He is not there anymore.
Oh no.
He's fucked up. Yeah.
But what did you think about all that bit? The whole bit with Dine and Corel and and Barrett's story. What did you think? Kokiri?
It was very interesting for somebody who did not grow up playing DOG like both of you did. I thought it was really interesting. I lost my shit when I found out that Dine was Marlene's real father.
Oh,
yeah,
I was just like, no way, this is not happening. It blew my mind, but like, yeah, everything about it was sad. Having to fight your best friend like that, and like saying those words, to what Neon was pointing out, and it's like, dude, that's some really deep shit, man.
Oh yeah, because it's like
it was just so deep, man.
Oh yeah, because it's like he says in the original as well. Like I believe like one of the things he says in the original is I think he says something like along the lines, you got to carry Marlene now. These hands are too stained. These hands are too stained to carry her. Like, and they definitely like in the original it was heart wrenching, especially when you see Dying just go like off the cliff like that. Like basically just. But to see Dine actually like go out, kind of like the way he goes out in Rebirth, it was a lot more heartbreaking because it's like it makes you think if Barrett could have somehow gotten through to him, like saying Marlene's in Midgar, I've been keeping her safe. You got to come and see her. She can help you. Trying to if he had managed to convince him, we could have gotten Dine as a party member. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely because I know I saw a lot of people say, oh, they wanted Dine as a party member. Would they change that? And I never thought it would be possible, but I honestly would have loved to see that. But yeah, it was definitely heart wrenching seeing Dine and that Barrett bit. Like, but what you said about the final phase, Neon, yeah, I definitely didn't like that much too as well. It was a cool fight, made for an interesting fight, but yeah, it definitely was like, hang on, this is a fight between two gunmen. Why is Dine suddenly whipping out freaking this massive long metal member or something like he's basically just whipping out and whipping us with the junk in that. It didn't make sense. Because obviously in the original, he uses a gravity-based gun, uses S-mine, I think it is. He uses a gravity-based attack. But yeah, the rubble big tentacle thing just didn't feel right with me. They should have kept it like a straight-up gunfight, like you said, rockets and that. I think that would have been better. And
Again, kind of going back to what I was saying at the beginning, when I said that I speedrun and I see more things in people, and and obviously doing a speedrun, there's a lot of downtime for me to talk to the community. So like something that kind of like when I thought about it, this is how I thought of Barrett. So I was like, okay, Barrett's a cool character, has a sad backstory, but he has more than that. So to humanize him here, so I know this is a video game, I promise. But like going back to Barrett, like if you pay attention to Barrett, like get this right. So we know that his flashback or his backstory is that he convinced the Corel to build a reactor, which then backfired and burned down his village. So Barrett probably felt responsible for the whole village, which I believe had some of his family relatives in there.
Yeah.
And at the time, Myrna, his wife, was also dying of or was ill, sorry, not dying, ill of, I believe, an undisclosed illness.
Yeah.
Right? This is all I know so far. And so maybe, let's say it's, something worse like the cancer or, whatever. Let's just say she's either dying or critically ill. So he's essentially already lost his wife at that point. Then sees his best friend or blames himself for seeing his best friend for not holding on to him when he fell off the cliff.
Yeah.
Probably blames himself. Then he thinks he's lost his best friend, right? Then goes to Midgar, avalanche begins, and then that destroys or kills thousands of people, which he's like, oh, it's for the planet, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then loses Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse, blames himself, right? And probably more than just those three people in Avalanche, but FF7 limitation is probably just those three.
Yeah.
So you lose them three, and then Barrett goes on this journey, and then you go to Corel, who he finds his best friend alive, and then watches his best friend kill himself.
Yeah.
So the shit that man has seen, that might be an arsey son of a bitch. You'd be like, fuck the planet, fuck you, fuck everyone. Like, you would just, like, a human being to see and be through all that would just be absolutely nuts. So because of this reason, I think this is why I think Barrett is one of the strongest, mentally strongest characters in the game, I think.
Yeah.
And is probably one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character in FF7 original. And it took me years to like not be like, my favorite character is Cloud, but Barrett, there's just something about Barrett. And there's also this really big soft part of him that you see several times in Rebirth where he's sobbing, and the minute he's sobbing, he puts his glasses on.
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity, men can't cry.
Yeah.
I need to be strong. And I think that makes Barrett such an interesting character to have in the team. And when you kind of think about everything he's been through, you think, you know what, this guy's fucking cool.
Oh,
holy shit. Yeah, it's for sure Bronx.
Oh, yeah. And especially considering the fact that something I don't think I've ever talked about it, but I've said it like in I think I've said I said it to you, Neon, once before as well, about FF7 having a lot of trauma of a trauma theme, and Barrett definitely has honestly one of the worst trauma in the game, like the shit he's gone through, and so for them to be able to encapsulate all of that the way they did in Rebirth. I think it was massively done. Definitely there's a few things I would have done better. Like again, the dying fight, like make it so it was all guns and that. But yeah, it was definitely a heart wrenching moment for Barrett, and it's one of those things where the characters in the original game, we don't really see much growth of the characters. Like we see what happened to them, but because obviously it's text box and that, it's hard for us to see the personalities of these characters,
Yeah,
the
the
growth in that.
tone. It's hard to read tone through text.
Oh yeah, and
I
then
have another question, but for both of you, so if
yeah,
it's okay to
yeah, go
ask.
for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of still with. I know we kind of skipped out Ghost Horse, and I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But something I'd love to hear your opinion on, because this was heavily criticized with a lot of FF7 or Final Fantasy fans, was the scene from straight after dying, straight into the Palmer fight. Like some people didn't like that. They didn't let you have that time to process the death of Dine and this weight of Barrett into this comedic scene of watching Dio
Yeah.
and Dude having like I don't know, like what's it called when you're pushing each other's hands back and forth, like they're like wrestling with each other.
Yeah.
Like so they're doing
Kind of
this,
like
and then they start the Palmer fight.
I think it's called a clash. I think it's just called a clash. I think.
Yeah, like they're clashing with each other, and like, and it's like one guy's in tight underwear with a huge bulge, and his pecs are like, so it's like this comedic scene, and they give you the Palmer slapping his ass during his fight. So the tone shift, some people didn't appreciate. Okay, they bunged me straight into another boss fight.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to process that. Barrett's just had an emotional scene.
Mm.
Personally, for me, I think it. When I think about it, I understand where people are coming from.
Yeah.
But if I was to think where they could put Palmer fight instead,
Mm.
can't think of a better place.
Oh no, definitely not.
moment.
Like,
And the only thing I can think of is letting you drive to Neogon Gaga, and then on the way you fight Palmer, and
Yeah.
then you. But that also would make no sense.
like
So
yeah.
I wondered what you two thought about that, because that was clearly absolutely different from the original.
Oh, yeah.
And this might want to be probably one of the bigger changes in the story that were criticized by
Yeah.
Stein for Resident Evil 7 phase.
Oh yeah. Because because those who don't know, from the original game, you only fight Palmer once in the original game, and that's when you're in Rocket Town, when you just after you meet Sid. So I think it was definitely a nice touch putting Palmer in, and you had this sad, touching moment. But then I think personally for me, I was full of adrenaline. I was like, right, fucking Shinra, I'm pissed off. That's made me angry just watching. That's made me upset just watching. Palmer shows up like, oh look, stress relief. Let's go. Like that's how I pretty much was like. I was like, I've hated you since you first started in remake. You're a slimy little git. I'm gonna kick your ass and lay off some steam. But from a story point, I think it was very well done. Like it was, yeah, you're recovering from this bit, but then they throw it in. It's like, oh, but now you've got to fight this boss. It's like a kind of like a adding on to the situation kind of thing. Like an escalating situation kind of thing. And I thought it was very done well for the story. And I think it was a good place to put Palmer. Especially since we saw him at the Gold Saucer, trying to get into his hotel room. But I think it was a good place. What about you, Kokiri? What did you think about the Palmer fight?
The Palmer fight?
Where he's got like the giant robot after dying.
Yeah, because it's
yeah, I
literally
was
like 2 minutes after.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, but I'm honestly with Neon on this one. Like I needed some time to process about like, dude, dying is dying, and here comes Palmer. It's like like doing all coming on out and stuff like that, and like, but it's like as cool as the fight was. I mean, maybe that could have been like maybe before all this crap happened, but I was like, dude, I'm still trying to process, but now I gotta beat up this fat ass over here. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a moment. It's like, yeah, I can definitely see why people didn't like it. It was one of those moments where, yeah, you're grieving. You just lost Barrett's just lost a friend. We don't want to go straight into a fight. We need time to grieve. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the timing could have been better. I think, and I think when I look at where it could have been, I can't think of another place. That's the thing. So like, I'm willing to just go. Okay, I mean, the fight itself is fine.
yeah.
Like the music's incredible as well. I love the music for that fight, and I think it as much as it's placed in a really awkward position, like I can't think of another place to put it because spoilers, there's no Rocket Town. So where would you fight Palmer? And the fact is that they didn't need to give you it. They could have just skipped that fight out. They could have done. They could
Yeah.
have done that. But and you'll probably more than likely fight Palmer in Rocket Town again, and it'll be like he'll be wanting to get revenge or something,
Yeah.
this is payback for what you did earlier on in the game kind of thing. So my take is I don't mind where it is. I think it could have been somewhere better placed, but with how the story panned out, I can't think of a better place that they could have put it.
Oh yeah.
I'm even now thinking, like, where could they have put it?
I
there's only one area that I think they could have put it. If I'm honest, one area, and that is after Cosmo Canyon. You go back to like Gold Saucer, like chapter 11, chapter 12, and they give you like this one whole chapter where it's basically like this is your last free moment to run around the map and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
They could have maybe thrown it in there. I think that could have been the only better place to put it. But they would have had to fit it in so it makes sense for the story. So I can't think.
I would have liked it if when you go back to the Gold Saucer after killing Dine, I would have liked it if you had to fight Palmer in the arena there or something, and then you have because Palmer's like, there they are, there's the one that killed these Shinra soldiers, arrest them, and then
exactly.
that would have been an interesting thing. And then after you beat Palmer, Dio's like, no, these weren't the ones who did it, and then so that would have been pretty interesting. I think that would have been a pretty good time. But yeah, what you said about Rocket Town as well. I'm actually really hoping they do put Rocket Town in the third one, because I know many people were controversial about Sid's inclusion, what they were doing to Sid. I'm really hoping they do put Rocket Town in, and we do get to see Sid's backstory as it was in the original, just because, it's kind of controversial. But it's one of those backstories where it's controversial, but at the same time, it makes sense. It helps the character, it's a good story for the character. He was emotionally abusive to Shara, but he wasn't trying to be. He was just angry like humans were. But then, as he goes on, he starts, being less and less angry. I'm hoping they do put Rocket Town in so we can see that, but obviously, tone it down so it's not as abusive, but we can still see that he's angry in that. But I would love to see Palmer. If they put Rocket Town in, I'll just see him fight Palmer again. And hopefully bio him first turn. as Neon would know. But and then maybe even after you kill him, he gets isekai'd into another world, freaking truck coon going poof and smacking into him. But yeah, I would love to see Palmer again in Rocket Town. And of course, because I was funny you mentioned Gangaga as well, because I believe after Corel, obviously we'll talk about the Gold Saucer actually first.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, one of the biggest places. Oh yeah, definitely. We have to talk about the Gold Saucer. Like, honestly, I was overblown. Like, obviously, the Gold Saucer in the original, we first see it as a kid, like, oh, wow, that would be a cool amusement park. And then we first see it, and then, like, you first see it in Rebirth, and your mind is just instantly blown away by how they've captured these amusements in these new graphics and modern graphics. And I definitely love the Gold Saucer and all, like, the Wonder Square and how you can get around in that. And I think they definitely did very well. But what are your thoughts, Kokiri? What are your thoughts when you first entered the Gold Saucer, compared to like the original? How was your reaction?
Honestly, just looking at this compared to the original, dude, this place is literally fucking Disneyland in the sky. It literally is. It's like it felt like Disneyland in the sky with this freaking Gold Saucer stuff. But yeah, like it was. Honestly, looked amazing. Like, can you imagine, because to me, it just gave you that sort of vibe. It's just like, what if you actually experience this in real life? Like, you got to like go to like the Chocobo Square and like go stay the night at like at the haunted hotel. Everyone, and they kept everything like in the original, like like when you go to the receptionist room in the haunted hotel, you have that dude who's like literally hanging upside down. You hear that scream, like, oh my god. But honestly, it just felt really, really good. And I'm sure we'll definitely will. I'm sure in a little bit we'll get to the the icing on the cake, the date.
We'll definitely get into that one. Yes. But I mean, the Gold Saucer was definitely improved upon, definitely. And as you said, it basically feels like Final Fantasy VII's version of Disneyland. Suppose you could call it, I don't know, Dio-land, I don't know. But it was definitely, I definitely love the Gold Saucer. What about you, Neon? What were your first impressions of the Gold Saucer?
So I think originally, years and years ago when I played it, I loved the Gold Saucer.
Mm.
As I got older, I didn't feel like, oh my god, this is like something I need to be in all
Yeah.
the time. All these mini games are fun. Like Chocobo Racing was fun in the
Mm.
original, and all this. So I wasn't overly too like not mega excited, but I was excited. Obviously, I was excited
Mm.
to see what they've done with it. But I wasn't like, oh my god, I can't wait to play all the mini games because like I knew that like I don't want to spend all my time playing mini games, but I did want to
Mm.
explore them and go to all these areas. And I really loved all the additions that they did, even teasing the snowboarding mini game with a stuffed Kate Sith
Mm.
riding a snowboard. So like you can see that they're gonna add that for part 3. Some of the mini games for me were hard. I didn't like the brawler mini game. I mean,
Mm.
I think the brawler mini game itself is fine, but I sucked at it, so I don't like it.
They made it
But
way too hard
Oh yeah.
sometimes.
yeah, and I think that's probably one of the more known harder mini games,
Mm.
especially if you're trying to go for like the platinum and you want to do the
Oh yeah. It
all
took
the
me.
extra
Yeah.
stuff later. But it wasn't for me. I just couldn't.
Mm.
My brain couldn't compute which way I needed to swing. So I found it was hard. But in forced mode, you only
Yeah.
have to do it once, and it's a tutorial that you basically can't lose.
Mm.
And if you do lose, it doesn't beg any. It doesn't change much. It just changes
Yeah.
a little bit of dialogue and stuff. But yeah, I was excited for Gold Saucer. I was more
Mm.
excited to. I knew we were getting like this build up of the Dine stuff, so I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm really excited for the Dine stuff because again, Barrett being my favorite character
Mm.
and complex character, and what they're gonna do with Dine, I was really anticipating like, holy shit, how are they gonna do it?
Mm.
So and I really loved how they trickled in a scene where Barrett takes Cloud to the hotel, and he goes off and he ends up seeing Dine walking through Gold Saucer and glimpses a man with a gun on his arm or something.
Mm.
He glimpses that and goes, "Wait a minute," and then eventually finds him going off into like the elevator, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Wait, it can't be."
Mm.
But one thing we did glaze over, we never actually spoke about at all,
Oh.
was Zach. So we actually got a scene to play with Zach.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
When we fight the Valkyrie on the way to through the climb.
Mm.
But you also get a kind of round 2 with Zach in Gold Saucer,
Yeah.
where you play with him a little bit more, and it's kind of I think that's the story there where they're sharing a bit more about.
Mm.
I'm not sure if that's the backstory there with where they discover like how Biggs and how Zach survived.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the exact moment. But there's this really like this music that plays when you play Zack for starters when you play in those segments there. I forget the name of the track. It's like called "End of the World" or something like that.
I
It's
think so,
called, but
yeah.
it's
One of
so
them.
beautiful. And
Mm.
it's a bit later on. That might be
okay.
like, is it Cosmo Canyon? Maybe.
I think so.
Bronx. Yeah. Yeah, I think that one there was when Elmira's coming over and she rips an asshole into
Yeah.
Zach and she's like, "You haven't even wiped your face, god damn it," or whatever. I think that's
Yeah.
that one. Maybe that actually might be the one before. But either way, the fact that you get this like flashback with Zach, is so cool. I have a little pet peeve with FF7 Rebirth. Like, I love this game and I'll defend it to the high heavens. It's a 10 out of 10 game and probably arguably one of the best games I've ever played. But I can definitely hold criticism for this game and say that I think that the pacing of this Zack stuff could have been paced out better. Because you literally play the game and you play Zack at the beginning. Your first time after like 40, 50 hours of playing with him
Yeah.
is the build up towards a Gold Saucer. That's the next time you see any cutscene with Zack.
Mm.
So they leave it like 50 hours where they're like, okay, well, so what happened at the start of the game? Like, what's going on here? And I think that the pacing of this Zack stuff could have been done better, personally.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you get that scene, and we go through Gold Saucer, and Gold Saucer was fine. Like, I loved what they did with the battle arena.
Yeah.
They made it a proper arena, not just like some square on the ground on one screen. So I really liked what they did with it, and was curious as to obviously with Kate Sith. I couldn't get over how Kate Sith looked like so real, even as a stuffed toy where everybody is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over how well they made him look. Like, it made him look so good that I swear you can see the fur on his body. Like,
Yeah.
you can see it. So I really was blown away by that, and I loved like the aesthetic of the haunted house, like
Mm.
this mansion. Like it just looked so, or hotel. It looked so cool. Like if it looked like FF7 could be a horror game for just a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, the lighting in this game is amazing.
Mm.
I really love what they did with Ghost Saucer. The music's also quite interesting. It's also kind of dynamic and plays little trinkets of other tracks in there. I think you can hear
Mm.
Tifa's theme in there somewhere
I think
if you
so.
listen closely. Mm. So I really liked all of Gold Saucer. That's pretty much my
Yeah.
2 cents. I haven't got much else to say. There's a few other like nods there. Like there's a picture of Jesse
Yeah.
at the
Oh yeah, by the theater
test,
for
whatever.
Loveless.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool and a nice little nod. And there's a nice little
Mm.
mini date that kind of happens, or that you think
Yeah.
you're getting, which is a bit of a tease. And everyone
Mm.
who I watched who don't know FF7 as much was all thinking, "Oh, this is the date," when it isn't. Even in the original game, it's not the date.
Nah.
So it's really cool because they still kind of give you a date,
Mm.
unless you suck and you get no one. And I think if you get no
Cookery.
one, you see Red 13 as a glimpse, and
Mm.
that's it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't join you. He just knocks on the door and walks off.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like, let me speak to your manager.
But yeah, I think
Mm.
my second playthrough on PC, I think I got Red 13 because I was really trying to choose different answers
Mm.
so I don't get, because I think I got Tifa on my
Oh,
date
yeah.
later on my first playthrough. But this playthrough, I was like trying to choose different answers to see
Mm.
what would happen and to see the other dialogue. And I got Red 13 this time, who knocked on my door, walked off, and then I ended up like kind of like on my lonesome. It was kind of weird.
Damn. Well, Cloud's looks like Cloud's one handing it again tonight.
And
But
let me tell you, when I
like,
make this noise, it ain't no knock at the door.
oh yeah. But yeah, like, oh yeah, like we'll cover the date now as well. Even though it happens later, I think we'll cover the date now and just go source a bit. I love how they did the date as well. Now, obviously in the original,
Yeah, it was
you
cool.
had. It was like in the original you had like them going to the play and being part of the play. You had them wandering around. Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry. You had them wandering around, and of course you had the thing with Kate Sif after. But I like how they tied the date mechanics in. Like now, for those who don't know, the FF7 had a date mechanic where you could get a date mechanic. Like there was a date mechanic to measure it. Like certain things, you got Tifa affinity, stuff like that. I love how they did it in this, where it simplified it in a way, where you would get the character who had the most you would have the most affinity with. Like for me, first time I played it, I know I got Tifa. Get in there. I got Tifa, and and we saw the scene that everyone was waiting for. We saw the kiss. We saw the kiss scene,
Oh,
and
wait, you got the
The
kiss in your
slut-
first
the-
playthrough.
I got the kiss in my first playthrough. I was
Oh,
really
hell
hyped.
yeah.
I was screaming like I was screaming finally. But
I'm not gonna lie, I got Tifa on my date, and I didn't get a kiss.
oh,
But I got Cloud looking like he was gonna kiss her, then goes to hug her. I'm like, Cloud, you absolute
dude.
plonker. I'm like, the friend zone her.
Yeah.
And he does it like he just like leans forward with a straight face. I'm like, Cloud, you look so awkward,
Oh
bro.
yeah. Like
I'm like, oh my god, Cloud, please, not
Yeah.
now. You've been my child hero for 20 years. Don't do this to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I got Aerith on my date.
Ah,
Nice.
Yeah,
I
I got
wanted, I
Aerith.
wanted Aerith.
Yeah, I actually was trying. I was telling Bahamut this a while back, but like I tried to I was going for like everything for like Tifa and like Aerith, but there was one quest that I could not complete and fully to like go for Tifa, and it was the one that you had to do with Kyrie to like find this monster like by
Yeah.
Fossa del Sol. I'm like of all this crowds and crap. I'm like Kyrie, you ruined my fucking moment. How dare you? If you want to kill something, why don't you do it yourself? Don't be such a damn coward and do it your damn self. Don't make me fucking do it.
Yeah, Kyrie was.
But yeah, I thought it was just like really sweet. Like it was a really sweet moment, like with both Cloud and Aerith. I mean, despite with everything that they've both been through since their first meeting in the slums of the church. Like you got Cloud over here protecting her from Reno in the church,
Yeah.
and like trying to get away from the Turks and the Shinra, like you can definitely tell like how much like that they both have been through a lot together, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like the fact of like like you have like Aerith like like placing her head on Cloud's shoulder and like they're holding hands. It's like you just
Yeah.
know like they just really been through, and I thought it was really sweet.
Oh
There is
yeah.
actually some really interesting scenes from the date
Mm.
that I haven't watched them all because I don't know why. I guess I want to see them myself. But there is one that I have seen, and it's if you get Yuffie. Now, if you get Yuffie, it's not what you think. You're not gonna kiss Yuffie, I don't think. But I believe Yuffie tells you about a guy that she had a crush on. This
Oh
I remember
yeah.
this part. I remember this part.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting and kind of makes sense.
Especially when you
Because she
remember who it is.
basically states that she had a guy, she had a crush on a guy who ended up having, who ended up was in soldier, and it was when she was younger, and yeah, it's basically from Crisis
Zach.
Core, and it's
Yeah.
basically
Zach.
It's yeah.
yeah, and we know that. I don't know if she knows that, and I don't know if she knows that that's Aerith's Zack. But I thought that was really cool that they added that. And I
Yeah.
haven't seen a few of the other scenes. I think I don't know if I've seen Barrett. I wanted Aerith's date because I wanted it to feel like FF7 original, because
Yeah.
in original mostly you got Aerith if you chose your options well and
Yeah.
stuff. I think most people, even in speedruns, you default to Aerith anyway. So I wanted to see how that was, and I'm more of a fan of seeing where the story would go on this final date before assumably knowing what was going to happen to Aerith. So I wanted that kind of like closure, and I
Yeah.
wanted that nice, kind of ending.
Yeah,
So I
like
wanted
from the
that,
original.
but I
Yeah,
didn't
the
get it.
original.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the original, it was kind of like a foreshadowing of not knowing what's going to come, but a foreshadowing of, oh, things are going great here, something's going to go wrong. And,
Yeah.
before you know it, it's going to the temple, and
Yeah.
bad things happen. And again, this is completely separate. I just want to say this, but my God, the original game, there's a load of things that I did not process my first time playing. I never noticed that Cloud literally beats the shit out of Aerith outside of Temple of the Ancients. He's literally beating her.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. So you close off the Temple of the Ancients,
Oh,
and then Cloud gives the black materia to
yeah.
Sephiroth, and
I
then he
remember.
goes to Aerith, and he's literally
Mm.
punching her, and you can hear
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that because
he's
it's when
beating the
Sephiroth takes
crap out of
It
her.
control.
was it was so sad, man.
Yeah.
Of course.
So and again, they and we haven't spoke about the temple, and we'll get to it
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we're
yeah.
kind of going a bit all over. But like with the temple, obviously they're not going to put that in the game. But and that was a scene I was actually interested to see how they would do.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll spoil my own here and say that I loved what they did with the temple, but we'll go back to that when we get to it. So
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Because we're definitely gonna cover the temple at the end, like near the end of the video.
yeah, and just as a disclaimer, by the way, I've only beaten fully Rebirth once. That
Oh,
was a year
fair.
ago.
Fair enough.
Probably a year ago, at the end of this month, because it took me a month. But I have played my second playthrough up to around the goal source, the
Yeah.
second visit. I've been there twice on both a PC normal mode or dynamic, and and hard mode. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm at. I haven't done hard mode, and I haven't seen the end of the game again yet, if that makes sense. So my Temple of the Ancients knowledge might be a little bit rusty and a
No,
bit,
yeah.
but I'll still be able to remember definitely some key moments, because I
Oh, yeah.
definitely was screaming.
Yeah, because yeah, because obviously, like with Temple Ancients as well, they actually did change a few things with Temple Ancients as well, which I can get into it later.
Yeah,
But yeah, like it was definitely the date with Aerith definitely because I actually went back after you get the game. You get the option to go back to the date and choose who you get the date with. I did Aerith's, and it definitely felt like final moment. Like she knows she may not survive, and it definitely felt final moment with it. Like she just wants to have some comfort before she knows that the end's happening.
Yeah, being there, like, because I know, like, in the original,
Mm.
she says the whole, like, like, Clown, like, I want to meet you, and Clown's like, but I'm right here. It's like,
Mm.
no, I want to meet you. And I know she kind of definitely does say that, like in the
Mm.
original.
She
I
does
mean, so
say that in the original,
I mean,
yeah.
and yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, she does in the original. I meant to say in Rebirth, but like, I mean, you just feel that, like, because like it just kind of gives you that feeling, like when she says like, I want to meet you, like, it's like what you guys are saying, like we already know she's not going to survive. It's going to be her last moment, so at least let me meet you, like before
Yeah.
I have to go.
Mm. And it definitely felt like she, because I think it's safe to say Aerith had at least some knowledge of the truth as well, and with some of the things she says, and some of the things that her and Red 13 hint at. So I think it is safe to say that Aerith may have also used the date with Cloud as well as like kind of like a pseudo, a stand-in, because Cloud is living, has lived through Zack's memories. Is that Zack's living legacy? So I think Aerith definitely, if she did, if it's true and she can see like the different old, the old steel, how the original timeline, all that. It definitely feels like that. She's wanting just to imagine it's her and Kazak just one last time before she goes. It definitely gave me that vibes as well.
Yeah, because she probably sees Zack in Cloud, and
Mm,
she's maybe seeing the date with Cloud as a date with Zack one more
yeah,
time. Because even in the original, she says, at first I just thought it was your, you know, similarities in your looks and
yeah.
things, but now it's a bit more than that. Or I think she says that in the original somewhere.
I
I
think
think I wish they
so.
said that now. But yeah, I agree with you on that one, Dark Farmer.
Mm.
I think there's some interesting stuff there.
Oh yeah.
Cloud, the thing is with Cloud's mind, a lot of people get confused because a lot of people just go, Cloud's got Zack's memories. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
not
not like
quite,
that.
because Cloud doesn't think he lived in Gongaga.
Mm,
Like he doesn't think that because
exactly.
he doesn't have
No.
his memories.
Mm,
But what it is Cloud essentially was suffering with Mako radiation.
Yeah,
mm,
yeah,
Uh,
the Mako poisoning.
yeah, exactly. And so what? Not and on top of that, not only that, he also got traumatized with the end of
mm.
Zack's life. Watching him get shot and
Yeah,
murdered.
yeah.
And this is actually a true fact. It's if there's any doctors in chat, you can tell me here. But
Mm,
apparently, it's scientifically proven that if a trauma hits you so bad, it is actually possible to push it to the back of your mind that you don't believe it even happened,
mm,
that you don't remember it. So Cloud essentially, while under Mako poisoning and under this trauma, or not quite trauma yet, first Mako poisoning, Zack was telling Cloud these stories of things that he did,
mm.
that Zack did. That's why when Cloud eventually wakes up after, Zack's dead essentially, and the trauma from that, that's why he ends up thinking he did these stories that
Yeah.
Zack told. So it's like he's regurgitating these things that he thought he did, and
Mm,
he's dressed as a soldier, right? Because he gets this
Hmm.
in, from a wardrobe in Nibelheim.
yeah.
So he just assumes that I'm a soldier first class, and it's actually the reason why, and this heavily plays into it.
Mm,
Uh, you know, Zack says we're going to be a mercenary. Let's
yeah.
go, Cloud.
Mm.
FF7 remix asks, what's Barrett calling Cloud?
It's a mercenary.
Get down here, Merc, right?
Get
Calling
down
him a
here, Mark.
mercenary, right? So that he's already calling himself a
Mm,
merc and a mercenary because he's following along with what Zack was
yeah.
saying. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
quite interesting in that aspect, and so the whole Zack thing can get confused, and some people think that
Mm,
he thinks he's Zack and all this kind of crazy stuff, which is and I understand that the complex story of FF7 can be very, 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 very
mm.
confused at times, but that's how I see it. That's
Oh
how
yeah.
I like to envision the story so far,
Mm,
until we've got concrete evidence of a story that's going to be told, and we follow it along,
yeah.
Yeah.
plainly spoken and told.
Mm,
But Cloud's character for that reason is what
yeah.
makes him a very interesting
Oh
character.
yeah.
That he is this unreliable narrator.
Mm.
Um, but
But
yeah,
yeah.
Did you want to switch over to Gongaga now?
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, because we're
Yeah.
because we're actually we mentioned Zach, we're mentioning
Yeah.
Gongaga. We're going to talk about
Mm,
Gongaga, a place I was definitely
Me?
excited for.
me too.
Hey, and me, because there is one thing in Gongaga that made me scream like a fucking fanboy, and you guys will know who I'm talking about. Our
Cisne?
Cisne. As soon
Mm.
as I saw Cisne, I was screaming to the high heavens. Crisis Core.
She looks really good.
Fuck yeah. Because
I was
it's.
really expecting that well, no, sorry, not expecting. I was
Mm,
expecting that they should do that. It would
yeah.
make sense. They gave you this high res version in Crisis Core
Mm,
Reunion of Cisne, and she looked stunning. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
holy shit! Compared to the PSP version that I played
Mm.
over many months, because I only played my PSP when I traveled.
Yeah.
So I only played Crisis Core when I traveled. It took me like a year or two to actually beat
Oh
Crisis
yeah.
Core, and I did all the side missions and I was doing all this
Mm.
stuff for 6 hours. But like, I was like, they have to show you
Oh
Cisne. They
hell yeah.
have to, and if they don't, wasted opportunity.
Mm.
But they did, which like you, I was screaming, and they, oh my god, and they play this like I forget
Yeah.
exactly the name of the theme now. Someone in chat will tell me,
I
but
can't
they are
remember.
they're playing the theme
Mm.
of Crisis Core there.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
I don't know the name of the track, but I can almost like bloody hum it.
Mm.
But they're playing this music. I'm like, oh my god, nostalgia trip for me.
Oh hell yeah.
And just like you,
Mm-hmm.
Dak, I'm like screaming, thinking, oh my god,
Mm.
it's nice to see
Yeah.
Cisne here. Because the last time you see Cisne, she ends up like, I think she's in Gongaga at Crisis Core.
Yeah.
But again, in the original game, you don't see her there, which is I mean, can't really gripe at 7 because they didn't bring out
Mm.
Yeah.
Crisis Core until after 7. So
Yeah.
that was maybe a change that they were hoping to just
Mm.
change. And again, it was a very very
Mm.
very good call with that.
Oh yeah. Well, the funny thing is, you actually do see Cisne in Gongaga in Crisis Core, because Zack goes back there with Cloud,
Yeah,
and
that's
Cisne tells him not to bother going to see his parents because he doesn't want to put them in, they don't put them in danger.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense. I find that it makes a lot of sense with Cisne being Gongaga because something she says to Zack at the end. Zack says to her just before they depart ways. He says to her, "They'll probably ask you to be part of the family." And then Cisne just walks away, meaning his parents. Cisne just walks
yeah
away going, already happened. And like,
yeah
Oh.
to me, it makes sense. Cisne is settled in Gargaga to, look after Zack's family. And thus now she's now become the leader of the village, the one everyone turns to. And I love the way they did Gongaga. Obviously the houses are kind of, they're obviously unorthodox, but they're not, unlike in
looks, yeah.
they're not
Mm-hmm.
unlike in FF7 where they're like all like these little small huts, and you can see the
Mm,
reactor in the background. Like you can see the reactor, but it's the fact that you have all these mushrooms and giant fungi that they've basically built their houses around and that. And I think they
mm.
definitely did a lot in Gongaga to really put hope to really just improve on it.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
even some
Yeah.
stuff as well. Like, we get to see Zack's parents. We see here a bit more about Zack. And then you even have that friend of Zack's as well, who, shows you that little personal
Yeah.
gym and says about
Yeah, that's
Zack.
great. I love that.
Mm.
That was a really, really good touch, and
Oh, yeah.
they're talking about like training to be like him and all this kind of stuff. Like,
Mm.
really, really nice touch. And I like what you just said about the whole like mushroom thing because they
Mm.
never mention a bloody
Oh,
mushroom
yeah.
at all in FF7 OG, but like they give it off like it's this mushroom vibe because
Mm.
it's like a
Mm-hmm.
forested area, and it
Yeah.
all makes sense. And of course, the
Mm.
music in the Gongaga region is
Oh,
beautiful.
hell yeah.
It wasn't something I loved at the beginning, but after spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours
Mm.
looking for one tower, because I could not traverse that area for shit.
Oh, yeah.
I did really it really grow on me
Mm.
of that
Oh,
whole area.
yeah.
And you do get to see Zack's parents in the original game,
Mm.
but they don't really say a great deal. And you
Yeah.
only get dialogue if you enter that area, I think, with
Myth.
Tifa
Mm.
and or Tifa or Aerith or
Yeah.
both. But
Yeah.
going with both, you get this like one time only dialogue.
Yeah.
Because obviously Aerith's not gonna be around for later on. So you might want to get that dialogue there and then. But I
Yes.
thought that was a really nice touch. But it was something that surprised me with that conversation is that how Aerith's actually kind of mean in that. She's actually
Mm.
kind of mean. She's like, "Oh, Zack, like something like with the ladies' man that he is,
Yeah.
something like that." And I think that was kind of like out of character for her, and she
Mm.
actually calls herself out and says that was actually kind of harsh what I said there. And I
Yeah.
don't know why she did it.
Girlfriend meets boyfriend's parents.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
man, I can't even like I know this isn't a video, but I couldn't even imagine how Era's thinking there.
Nah, it's
Like seeing, and she knows that something's not quite
mm,
there with Zack because like, she must know what's happened to Zack because
mm,
kind of touching on what you mentioned earlier, Dark Bahamut, but Aerith knows somewhat her fate,
yeah.
right? Somewhat. Because she states that she had these visions, like she knew, especially if you go back and you play a remake, like she
Mm.
knows what the fuck's She knows what's going on.
Yeah.
She knows. She gets bloody visions, and she even gives them to Marlene. Like, we know this. But she says that these memories have gone. I think there's a conversation in Costa del Sol where she's having it with Red, and she's like, "Oh, I did have these visions, but every time a whisperer touched me, I lost a part of myself, and that was her losing these
Mm.
visions of what she thought was going on. So she thought she did know what was going to happen, but now doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's why if you go back and like remake, she's bloody like some sort of like wizard. She knows everything.
Mm.
So I don't know if she knows that Zack died, or if she just feels him,
Mm.
in the planet, because there's a connection with her and this sky.
Yeah.
With the end of Crisis Core, she's looking up at the sky, and
Mm.
when you finish remake, she looks up at the sky when she's left mid, and she's like, the sky, the steel sky.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Oh, they actually changed that line when Crisis Core came out. They changed the end in the remake, and they had the sky. I don't like it. Not the steel sky. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So people were like, "Oh my god, they're changing the lines." Like, what are going on? But yeah, it's just like, it's a connection with the planet or something.
And yeah,
But
like
yeah, I love Gaga. So good.
and like Welsh has just put in the chat as well. Yeah, there was that scene at the end where it starts raining at the end of Crisis Core as well. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think Aerith
Water
definitely
again.
knew.
Water. Right. Water tears. Right.
Oh yeah, like I think it definitely it's a nice touch. Like like I think Aerith definitely knew somehow that Zack had passed away. I think she definitely knew.
Felt it, yeah.
But yeah, how did you feel about Gongaga Kokiri? I almost called you Konkiri then. It's like, what the hell?
Konkiri, so I'm a Kong now. Damn. Well, honestly, I like, okay, so after, of course, having my first experience with Crisis Core Reunion, because that's how I actually got introduced to Crisis Core. I didn't grow up playing the PSP version like Leon did, and I'm sure you did too, Bahamut.
Yeah.
But I thought it was very cool. I was like, oh my god, Cisne's back. Like, I mean, I lost my shit. I was like, she looks so good, and like, but yeah, I'm agreeing with what Neon said. Like, it definitely felt out of character for like, to like Aerith to be like so rude and disrespectful towards Zack's parents like that, because knowing the kind of ladies' man that Zack really is, and like, even like her admitting like like yeah, I shouldn't have acted like that, but like, and then Cloud having that talk saying like you still like him, and she's like maybe. So it was like, so it kind of gave me a little bit of like head scratching. I'm like, do you like him? Do you not like him? Like what's going on here? I mean, like part of me just feel like maybe like Aerith might know something, but honestly, it just kind of felt really interesting to be in Gongaga, because like when you play through Crisis Core, you're not in there for that long, I mean, you just see Cisne there. She's like, don't even bother talking to your parents or all that. I'm already part of the family. But now, like with here, is like, you actually get to explore like the Gongaga jungle, like going to all these places, like doing one of the side quests of one of these with this guy. It was like, oh, this is where Zack actually used to work out and all that stuff. Like to me, I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah.
That was very good. Do both of you know what I'm talking about? Like, there's like this one quest to where like you run around the forest and you're fighting all these enemies.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this is where Zack actually used to go. He would, Zack would come over here and work out and do all these squats. The squats that that he pretty much taught everybody. And like, I thought that was really a really nice little
nice
detail.
touch.
So my theory on why Aerith was rude to her parents, sorry, to his parents, was because I think she was. Someone mentioned it in my chat, I think during one of my playthroughs, that I think it's a kind of like a way to. I think it was maybe a way to protect herself with being rude to them. That maybe she's trying to maybe make them feel better.
Yeah.
That that he's maybe shacked up with some other girl and maybe got some hope or something like that. And I think that was the reason why she did it. I don't think she did it to be mean, because we know Aerith, she's not mean at
No,
all.
no.
I
No, she's
think that there
not.
was some sort of ulterior motive as to why she said that.
Mm.
And maybe Aerith knew her fate then and thought, well,
Yeah.
I don't want them to know that I'm his girlfriend, because not only did they lose their son, they're also gonna lose his, their son girlfriend. So I don't know. So I think that there's some other way that, and and again, not to take over Dark Bandit stream here, but if anyone in chat has any other theory as to why she might have done that, feel free to let us know as well. Because
Oh yeah,
I'm always
definitely.
a nerd and love to hear it.
Oh yeah, definitely feel free to let us know. But yeah, I definitely love Gongaga, and I love like the how we actually get to explore the abandoned reactor. We get to explore it a bit, and we see the weapon and that. Which I've seen many people praise weapon designs. I have to admit, I kind of didn't like them. I thought they were, the fact they were pretty much all the same. I didn't like them. I loved the massive materia in the middle of them though. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah,
I completely agree with you there about the design. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like hopefully we'll see better weapons. Maybe we'll see ultra weapon.
You will see better weapons.
Oh yeah.
These weapons that were floating around, these aren't the weapons. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But it's easy to think that they are because they're calling them weapons. So it's a very big confusing thing.
Oh yeah.
And I know we haven't got to quite the ending yet, but the
No.
final credits show that there's something kind of awoken or something happening to them.
Yeah.
In the ending of like
Yeah.
something's awoken or something's happening, and I think that that's gonna be a part of something bigger. That's what I think, and I think that the proper weapons have not shown up yet. And
No.
and I do think you're gonna get some wild shit happening for part 3. People think that part 2 was wild, for Rebirth. Man, you wait until part 3. That is gonna blow your mind.
I can't wait. Yeah.
People aren't ready.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Bronx just to put in chat that maybe these weapons will evolve into the other weapons. Maybe these weapons that we saw in Rebirth, maybe they're pilot fish, where they direct the bigger fish, maybe they're that. Maybe they're that. It's who's to say? Well, obviously, have to wait for part 3. But yeah, I definitely can't wait to see if they did the actual and ultimate weapon, diamond weapon, sapphire weapon. I can't wait to see all that. But then, of course, we then obviously leave Gongaga, and we then get introduced to Sid, at the airport. And I gotta admit, I did kind of like how they did introduce Sid. I was kind of I did suck that we didn't get Rocket Town, but I gotta admit I did like how they did Sid. He's like this gruff pilot. You fly along with him, and he goes, or he basically says, "Oh, I own the skies. I don't give a shit what Shinra say. I own the skies. I fly where I want." And I gotta admit, I definitely like Sid. I can't wait to see what they do else with him in part 3. Maybe we'll get Rocket Town. Who's to say?
I think I can almost guarantee you'll get Rocket Town. They will not skip out. They will not skip out a town. I think you're right. I think absolutely, Kokiri. I think we're gonna be absolutely playing as him at some point.
Oh, definitely.
And that'll be your tutorial on how he works.
Yeah.
Same with Vincent.
Oh,
I feel like OG. I think we're all gonna be playing as.
I can't wait to play as
Vincent.
Yeah, they're gonna do that, and they're gonna do it as like a solo section. Like when they give you Yuffie in Rebirth.
Yeah.
Or like on your build up towards Gold Saucer, like or to Corel. Like they're gonna give you these solo sections, and that is so that you get the hang of playing with that character. They won't give you them both at the same time, I don't think, because they're not gonna say, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
here's how you use Vincent and Sid at the same time." Like, holy shit, like give me one at a time. Like they'll give you like they did in Rebirth. They'll give you Red 13 at the beginning, give you a few chapters, and then give you the next part.
Yeah.
But they absolutely, in my opinion, cannot wait too long to give you Vincent and Sid, because if they do in the final game, you get Sid for like half the final game. People are gonna be
people will be pissed. Especially me, because Sid is the dragoon of the game, and anyone who knows me, 100%. Massive spear lover and massive dragoon lover. So I definitely want to play as Sid.
By the way, by the way, big shout out to Matt Mercer playing Vincent.
Yes,
he did such an excellent job.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yeah. Oh yeah.
For me, I was interested what they were gonna do with Sid, because I tried to try not to as a content creator. I try not to watch the trailers coming out for FF7 Rebirth, and there was a lot of a weird vibe with Sid. A lot of people were like, "Oh, he's friendly.
Yeah.
Why is he friendly?" And this whole like mannerism of what he's like in OG, like must be interesting for Kakiri to see the original like version of Sid now
Yeah.
and what Sid's like in Rebirth, because Rebirth is like, I just want to help you, Aerith, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the original game he's like, shut up and sit down and make me some kind of fucking tea.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
remember
it's
that. I remember that. He just
completely like bipolar.
yeah, like yelling at his wife, and he's like, "God damn it, don't do this," and whatever. Like,
It's like, sit...
Polar opposites.
Oh yeah, it's like, sit down and drink your goddamn tea. It's like, Jesus. Just don't give any to Kokiri because he microwaves it.
oh come on, we're not doing this right now.
I had to, buddy. But yeah, like I definitely I can't wait to see what they do with Sid, and hope that Sid, that maybe they give us more of his his how he was in their OG. But of course, Sid then takes us to one of the areas that everyone was waiting for. We were all waiting for it. We were all hoping to come to see it. Cosmo fucking Canyon. We all were waiting to see it. And
man, I've got some bits, a little bit to say.
Oh
yeah,
Oh yeah, that was. It's gonna be.
we were
really
all
cool.
bloody not waiting for it.
Oh yeah. Oh, and in chat, Magical Valkyrie says, "Do you think they'll expand Shera's role too?" I really hope so, because there's a lot to unpack with Sid and Shera. Like it's been a controversial debate ever since the game first came out. Is Sid abusive? Is he justified? In his anger? Is he? Or is he? Is it abuse? So there's a lot that people have been trying to unpack with it. I'm hoping that they do more of Shera's role. Maybe we'll see how Sid's more. He still has the guilt. Maybe we'll see he still has the guilt, but he's more. He's less abusive. He's less. It's more of he's the quiet anger where he kind of doesn't hate Shera, but he doesn't want to be around her because he still feels at least some kind of some anger towards her. I definitely can't wait to see what they do with Shera. Yeah.
I think 100% they're going to do something more with Shera, a lot more. Something that was quite interesting about people's reactions to when Sid was shown on trailers was they noticed from the original to Rebirth that he didn't have the cigarettes in his in his pilot hat. And granted, I understand that he smokes a lot and that he that's his kind of persona and character. I don't know what they were doing by not putting his cigarettes in his hat or something. Maybe there was maybe this day and age they didn't want to promote smoking to be like on the side of his character. But I also think that it's a part of his character. So I understand people's upset, but it just wasn't that big a deal for me. And I do think personally that you will see him smoking a cigar later on. I just don't think he'll have the packet of cigarettes on his hat. But I do think that 100% they're gonna dive deep into Rocket Town. It's gonna be a whole big chapter. It's gonna be like the chapter 4 of Rebirth, where it's a massive, I think, where they're gonna go across the backstory. We're gonna learn a bit about the town, a bit more about the town. Maybe like with Gongaga, they give us that. Oh, around here the mushrooms grow. Maybe there's some sort of theme around Rocket Town, because we know it's close to Mount Nibble as well. So a lot of people, I'm being a big fat nerd here. There's been people doing Out of Bounds on FF7 Rebirth. I don't know if you know what that is. Being able to basically see outside the map and stuff.
Yeah.
And some people are looking for is there a Rocket Town near Mount Nibble? And from what we can see at the moment, there isn't one there. Obviously, it's not going to be in the game, but people are asking, can you see it? But I do think there's, with no doubt in my mind, they're going to get you to go to Rocket Town. You're going to do the Rocket segment. They're going to dive into Shera a lot. They're not going to give you a half-assed Shera thing. And I think that maybe they'll basically, how they do Rocket Town in 2 sections in the original game? You first go, then you come back later on for the rocket launch. I think they may end up doing, possibly they could do, both in the same storyline and make it a long story.
Yeah.
Or put you in there chapter 2 or 3, then put you there chapter 7 or 8. So you do revisit. And I think that you'll get a lot of Shera. You're getting all of Shera in that. And I think they're going to make her cute and pretty and a nerd with glasses on. And, we are going to feel for her, I think. And I think you're definitely not going to be shortchanged when it comes to that.
Let's hope not. Nah.
At all. Sid is
fair.
not
Yeah.
the point.
Mm.
I think that maybe smoking will come into all that later on.
Yeah, because even in his like, I think it's like his second limit break where he actually lights a stick of dynamite with a cigarette and
Dynamite,
throws it. Yeah, so who
yeah,
knows?
exactly.
Maybe
So,
we'll get that.
yeah, I mean, even if they put him smoking only for his limit breaks and maybe
Mm.
for 1 or 2 scenes, in the game, I'm okay with it. I don't want him constantly smoking though. Like, I
Nah.
don't. I like Sid, but I don't need him to be talking around his shoulder. I don't want him talking with a cigarette in his mouth all the time.
Oh yeah, nah.
Um, maybe I know it sounds silly, but maybe there's some reason why in the game he ends up smoking. Maybe
Maybe,
he needs
yeah.
it to calm his nerves or something for flying or some bullshit because they'll make it work.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, like going back to like Cosmic Canyon as well. Like it's like I think everyone had probably the same reaction. They walk into that and then you just hear that the remastered theme, the new theme for Cosmic Canyon, and you just hear it and your mind just starts going, oh my fucking god, like, and
Yeah.
it freaking jarred me. Where as soon as Red 13 gets there, he suddenly starts speaking in the voice we heard in Calm, and it's like, wait, what the
Uh-huh.
what?
He changes ways. Oh, hyper, I'm
Yeah.
home, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he stops being like, this mature kind of being where he's like, um, yeah, unfortunately, I can't do anything about the Discord notifications, unfortunately. One of the downsides of Discord and OBS, but it's fine. Yeah, blip. But yeah, we get this change, and that change stays throughout the entire game. He barely ever uses that voice throughout the entire game. He stays in his kid voice for most of the entire game after that scene. And I think
Yeah.
it's a great touch of it because it's like, he's home. He's kind of accepted that, he's still a kid. But I definitely loved how they did Cosmic Canyon. It was very well designed. I didn't like Bugenhagen at the start. I thought he was a bit of a cock.
Welcome
Yeah,
home.
there's.
Welcome home.
I completely
Yeah.
understand why you don't like him at that point.
Mm,
Replaying it, I think I'm not sure if you mentioned it, Dak Bammer, or if it was someone else in my chat,
mm,
but someone else also said that they thought he was an absolute massive cock
mm,
in Cosmo Canyon due to one
yeah.
particular dialogue line that it rubbed people the wrong way. It might have
Mm.
even been you who told me, but someone else also mentioned
It
it.
might have been me, yeah, because it was when Tifa was saying about her experience with the weapon,
Yes.
and Bugenhagen was basically
Mhm.
disregarding it as if she was bullshitting. It's like,
Yeah, he
bruh.
was like, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, I know, I completely understand where you're coming from."
Mm.
Yeah.
What about you, Kokiri? How did you like Cosmic Canyon when you first went into it?
Well, I found it was very interesting that
Mm.
we got to learn, well, I mean, I'm sure you guys knew all along from the past, but like me learning about Red's real name
Mm.
being Nanaki, like
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
thought it was really fitting. But yeah, just like, exploring around like with Bugenhagen,
Mm.
But just the more I kept exploring, all I kept hearing was just, "What do you need something, Nanaki?" Like that's all that just kept playing in my
Mm.
mind. But it was really interesting.
Oh yeah. Because in the original Cosmic Canyon wasn't exactly that big. You had a few stores, you had the inn and that, and you had
Mhm.
Bugenhagen's place, and then you had the cave of the Gi as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, it wasn't as big as people would wanted. So I think that's one of the areas people definitely were excited for, like seeing Cosmic Canyon, seeing the Cosmo Candle, Bugenhagen, all that. Um, and yeah, there was definitely and a lot of the the whole Cosmo region, a lot of the stuff you can do in there was definitely a lot of interesting as well. It's definitely an interesting place to explore. Um, One thing that did throw me as well was when we actually went into the cave of the Gi, they start talking about the black materia. I was just like, wait, what? But the Gi made the black materia. What the fuck is this? Like, it's it was definitely a different switch, from going through the cave of the Gi to find to Red 13's father set poisoned and petrified in stone. Um, but instead, we get this whole big freaking backstory of the Gi and how they're like tortured souls and all that. There's what did you guys think of like the that scene? Like the whole like the legacy of the Gi and all that, and the black materia being made by them and
It
such.
was it was really intense, but
Mm,
the whole Gi area, it was really, really damn hard. I
mm,
died so many times, but learning about what happened to Red's dad and all, like being turned into stone,
mm,
like that whole, like him saying like I'm gonna keep fighting for you, Dad, for
yeah.
everybody too, and like doing that like when he says howling up to the moon and you see the statue crying, I'm like, dude.
Mm. Oh yeah, that got me that scene. What about you, Neon? How did like Heather and the Gee like? How did that like resonate with you?
Well, with Cosmo Canyon itself, I thought Cosmo Canyon was perfectly done. I really couldn't gripe or have any qualms with it. I
Yeah.
thought it was massive. Like, I got lost so much in Cosmo Canyon.
Same.
Like, there's these different flaws, and I'm like, thank the Lord they gave us an NPC that we can eventually warp with. But I really love the piano in that there.
Oh yeah.
I also played the piano everywhere I could. But yeah, the Temple of the Key, I thought it was interesting. I really loved that they teamed up Barrett and Red. Barrett and Red at this point, even since remake, don't really get along. They're
Yeah.
not actually that friendly with each other. Down to the point that even Barrett's telling him, "Why don't you try to smile once in a while?" And Barrett and Red 13 is trying to smile, trying to do his little smile and remake, leaving. And Barrett's like, "Maybe just stick to frowning."
That was funny.
Yeah, so I
Man,
think
what the hell are you trying to be smiling for?
yeah, so I think it's a really, really nice touch that they made them two come together, and it wasn't even them. It was like Bugenhagen goes like, "Oh, maybe these two come along to do it." So I thought that was a really nice touch, and that they were going off, and it was like their moment to bond together, which is a method that some video games do, where they're like, okay, these two have to get along. It's like a movie trope, right? Oh, we've been separated. This is me and you, and we've got to get along, and they do it in chapter 3 as well, where Barrett and Red have been divided in Mithril Mines.
Yeah.
They've got to communicate with each other and get along there. So it's really nice that they paired each other up for that. And there's a really, I know I'm just slight fast forward here, but from that moment onwards, after Temple of the Gee, fun fact, Barrett never calls Red 13 Red anymore.
He calls him Nanaki.
And he calls him
So
Nanaki.
yeah, the entire playthrough. So I think that's a really fucking cool touch, and it just shows you this like relationship that was built through it. But similar to what Bronx said, and similar to what Kakiri said. First of all, the Gee place was hard. Like, it doesn't matter if you're playing on easy, normal, or dynamic. Those enemies don't fucking die. They keep reviving and reviving, or they cast death on you, or something. Like, it's awful.
Oh yeah.
Although, fun fact, you can just throw Phoenix Downs on them, and most of them just die.
Yeah.
But still, it's still difficult. And some of them are just temperamental. But I really enjoyed the addition of the whole black materia from the Gee, because in the original game it was just a black materia in a temple. There was no lore to it. So I actually liked, just like Bronx said here, their relationship to the black materia, and it kind of made sense that we knew the origin of why the black materia or where the black materia was made. And I'm not sure if I'm missing something. I'm not sure what their purpose of the black materia is, like why they want it. But if something or a part of me thinks we're not done with them yet.
Oh, definitely not.
Maybe we go back for part 2 of Bugenhagen and Cosmo Canyon in part 3. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But that was like through a spanner in the works. I was like,
oh yeah,
wait, what is going on? And I'm not gonna lie, I was too distracted by one thing that a lot of people have like researched. The guy speaking as the main, Gene Attack, like Gene Attack, he has a very similar voice to the trailer from 2015 when they announced Remake.
Oh.
The first ever trailer, it's the guy. And so they were coming back. And it's that commentary, and people have like researched if it's the same Triller guy, and if that is the case, dude, imagine being in a game 9 years later from doing your first work in a little promotional trailer, and then being a villain in the second game.
That is sick.
If they've done that, I'm telling you now, that's crazy, and I feel like it's not. I feel like it's not the same actor, but if you listen to that voice, like after stream or something. Go and have a watch of the 2015 trailer when they first announced FF7 Remake, and then listen to Gene Attack for just 30 seconds. And, Kakiri, for you who are a fan of voice acting and doing voices, you might appreciate, like, what I'm talking about with, like, how you can tell it might be the same person. But I feel like someone researched it and it's not the same guy. But if they did that, that would be so sick.
Oh, yeah.
That fly is a boss for you right now, Dark Farmer.
Yeah, it's like, fuck off. I'm going to piss you off. But it's fine. Got him. Anyway, But yeah, the Gi was definitely like really good segment. I really liked it, and I can't remember what the black material is for. I think it was like a treasure of theirs or a weapon or them. I can't remember exactly. I made a mistake, treasure of them. But yeah, I definitely liked how they improved on the Gi stuff. It was definitely great, and yeah, I honestly love like you said, I love how Barrett and Red, they started getting a bit closer. He calls him Nanaki, and I think it's a really nice touch. That little bit of camaraderie with them. Um, and unfortunately, yeah, of course, we do obviously, unfortunately leave Cosmo Canyon afterward. And we go on to we go on to the place where I'm pretty sure everyone was waiting for. We end up going to Nibelheim.
Yeah.
We see, Nibelheim, it's still standing, it's been rebuilt. But it's not. But then we see that it's. I love how they changed it to where you go in and it's not Shinra pretending the town's all normal. It's actually become like a safe haven, like a recovery point for the men in the black robes, the people in the black robes.
Yeah, it's for Marco Anonymous, isn't it?
Mm.
Not Alcohol Anonymous. It's for
Yeah.
basically Marco Radiation Treatment Center now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a bit on the fence with like the idea of that because I really hated it in the original where they were like, oh, everyone's just an actor. And
Yeah.
they also included it in a side quest for Tifa. So unless you did that quest, you would never know.
Mm.
And it's read in a letter. Kikiri might not know that yet because might not have been there yet. But it's like a little letter you can read, and it tells you that basically that the town was rebuilt and that these villagers, that they're actors and they're acting like there's nothing happened.
Yeah.
They're purposely gonna say to Cloud, and they probably have a picture of Cloud of okay, well, one day he'll arrive and we'll be ready to say
Mm.
that when he does arrive, we're ready to say that the village never burnt down. What are you talking about? And
Yeah.
that just adds this ludicrous memory to Cloud in the original. But in this game, it's like oh they rebuilt it, but they showed us like what they're doing with it. So I kind of appreciate both takes of
Oh
what
yeah.
they were trying to do there, but something quite hasn't sat with me right with what I feel like they're doing in Rebirth.
Mm.
But I do think that maybe there's gonna be something more coming out of that
Yeah.
later.
I'm hoping,
Maybe.
yeah.
Because I feel like we're gonna go back there and maybe get some sort of truth about Zach, maybe.
Oh yeah,
Which,
definitely.
ironically, speaking of which, actually, Darth Muhammad, while we're here, you actually see a really cool cutscene
Mm.
when you walk in that inn and you go upstairs. Cloud remembers Zach.
Yeah.
He never remembers Zach in the original game until after the live stream segment, and that's
Yeah.
only if you go back to Nibelheim, so this might be a missable thing for you, Kikiri. And if you go back to the basement and you see how they break out, which is basically what
Yeah.
happens,
Oh
Crisis
yeah.
Core, but you have Cloud going Zach, like you actually like him knowing the name before he's fully lost his mind, like
Oh
that
yeah.
that was like a huge twist, and then skimming ahead a little bit further here, when they're going up to like they're traversing through when they divide up a bit,
Yeah.
and they had one team, I think it's like T for Cloud and someone else goes up to they're heading to like the reactor. Cloud starts to think it's the soldier degradation or whatever,
Yeah.
and he pictures the calm flashback that we had of Zach falling down the stream, but
Yeah,
he thinks he killed Zach because he didn't
he wasn't able to save him.
grab him, but that wasn't him. But but Cloud is so fucked up at this point.
Yeah.
It was such a cool touch that they did that, and it just shows you that he is so messed up.
Yeah, his brain is still
I
trying to
loved,
fix itself in that.
yeah, I loved what they did with that.
Mm.
And their little visit to the reactor
Oh
as well.
yeah. What about you, Kokiri? How did you like? What were your Oh, because obviously I don't know if you obviously not played the Nibelheim yet, but obviously going in with a fresh face and that, like, how was your reaction to Nibelheim? After seeing the flashback and the story and that, how was your reaction to Nibelheim going to it first time?
Did you actually think it? Did you think it had been burnt down, Kokiri? Because I think a lot of us in the original game thought, oh, when we go back to Nibelheim, what's it going to be like? Is it rubble? Is it burnt? So did you think that, or did you think, oh, it's going to be rebuilt or something?
Honestly, I kind of felt like after going through Crisis Core, is like everything's like destroyed because Sephiroth freaking destroyed this shit. So I was like, but then again, chances are they can probably rebuild it, and it just looked, and to me, it just looked like exactly the way it was when you visit Nibelheim. It's like, oh, there's the water tower. There's Clown's house. There's Tifa's house, and but you have all these different people just living there. Like, it's just. I mean, they kept everything like as if nothing happened, but it's just new people residing inside those buildings. So,
like it was
interesting.
Oh yeah, I suppose for newcomers, well, it's definitely great, and it's actually funny you say that as well. The funny thing is, you actually do get to see Nibelheim after the incident. You actually do see Nibelheim repaired, because and so I don't know. Some people may not remember this or may not know this. Some people may not know this, but the time of Zack and Cloud being captured by Shinra after they fight against Sephiroth, and then to them escaping, 4 years have passed. They were in those test tubes for 4 years.
Yeah, I remember that for Crisis Core.
So
they experimented on them for 4 years.
Because Song's got so many weapons.
It's such a cool aspect of Cloud, to touch on exactly what you just mentioned there, because a lot of people forget one thing. Cloud's what? How old's Cloud in FF7?
21.
OG. So he's 21, right? But he was experimented on for 4 years. So it makes sense that Cloud is still kind of mentally the age of 17. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, thinking back to Remake, would it be so weird that Cloud didn't know how to do a high five? Because he is such a young kid at heart that he maybe didn't know how to do a high five at that. And that's why Aerith essentially teaches him how to do a high five. And it also explains the reason why he tries to be this cool guy and gets himself in situations. For example, I think it's like that cutscene when you're first recruiting Yuffie, and she's like, "And you wanted me, a Wu-Tai treasure hunter and all this," and he's just like, "Cool."
Yep.
And I think it's just Cloud trying to show his like coolness, but the more the more Cloud tries to be cool, the more silly and goofy he comes across. And that explains Cloud as a character. Like, he missed out on 4 years of his life. So when he woke up, he didn't grow up those 4 years. He didn't mature.
Exactly.
He probably looked down and went, "What the fuck is that down there?" Too far. But like, you see my point. Like, he missed 4 years of growing up. So like, if you got to think about that, it's kind of mind blowing.
It is.
Sorry for going too far, guys. Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Don't worry. We go. Don't worry. We say a lot of out of pocket stuff in each other's streams. Don't worry. We're all fine. But yeah, it's definitely. I would say it's definitely jarring for Cloud. Like, because like you said, he's 17. Where during Crisis Core, when he gets captured and that, and then it's definitely a lot for. He's definitely like kind of stunted his growth mentally, being Mako poisoned that. And then of course, like, obviously we get to go into Shinra Mansion, which I know many people may disagree. I hated how they did the Shinra Mansion. I really did not like the Shinra Mansion. It was boring to shit. Like, it's literally just 2 rooms and then an elevator. I really didn't like that. I was hoping that we'd actually get to explore it. I like how they made it look very good, but it was definitely like kind of not very great how they did that.
Underwhelming for you, because you expected this like big mansion to explore, I guess, and maybe expecting the spiral staircase.
Oh, everyone was, I think.
Expecting this, maybe like the safe where Vincent's key is and stuff like that. Yeah, I kind of semi-agree with you on that one. I completely agree, in fact. But I read something somewhere, and doesn't mean I'm right. I read something. I've understood it, and I go, you know what? From a development standpoint, I get it. But I think they actually came out and said that they tried to add the spiral staircase in, but it just didn't work. So I think from a technical standpoint, I think it's something to do with loading the screen that they needed. And FF7 Rebirth doesn't have load screens, but they camouflage load screens very well. Like F7 Remake, they camouflage it when you slide through the cracks of walls. That's loading the next section of the game. So in FF7 Rebirth, how they did it is because the load screen is going to be less, they did it whenever you got on an elevator. And if you ever pay attention to how you get on an elevator, they zoom in onto Cloud, they see your party members walk in, they're already loading up the back of the game. So I think that from a development standpoint, it made sense that there was an elevator to load the next section of the map. And that they couldn't give you this spiral staircase. Where I disagree with myself there is I think they could have still given us an upstairs. At least give us the upstairs to
Mm.
explore, but just don't maybe have the spiral staircase be locked or something.
Yeah.
Keep it there, but just say it's something, or maybe they
Yeah.
didn't want to tease us and be like, "Oh, we didn't want to give you this and then take it away." So
Mm.
I completely understand it. Um, but I guess from a technical standpoint, if that was the way they had to do it, I get it. As
Yeah.
for the solo section with Kate Sif, I also too felt it was quite long,
Yeah.
hard, very hard, dragged out, and I think probably the only moment in the game where I think that they stretched something out a little too far.
Yeah.
But since I've replayed it, I've gone back, and to be honest, it's not that long.
Mm. Oh
I
yeah.
think first playthrough you're gonna be a bit more clueless. You don't have to use Kate Sith yet and all this kind of stuff.
Mm.
So I think it's not as bad as I thought, and
Oh yeah.
the throw minute game absolutely is 110% clunky. Like
Mm.
it was not good. It wasn't very very well done. Square Enix are probably not known for like these shooting or aiming games, and even including this mini game,
Yeah.
it didn't bode well for a lot of
Mm.
people.
Um. Yeah, because there's definitely something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't like the case of minigame either. Like it was definitely it felt out of place. I will say. Of course, I also played Dirge Cerberus, so I'm used to I'm used to the mini games of that because you had case of things in there as well. But yeah, I definitely felt
I
like it was
played it
out of place.
recently.
Mm. Um. There's something as well. We go in the mansion as well. I think many people were excited to meet for the meeting with Vincent as well.
Yeah.
I know I for one was a bit disappointed when I not disappointed as much, but I
Mhm.
found it very weird how they made him the guardian of the Shinra archives underneath the mansion. I did think that was very weird, like out of place for Vincent, considering the fact that he's all about he doesn't really care for Shinra. He's an ex-employee. Like but I feel like they did like the fight against Vincent. I felt was cool, but kind of out of place as well. Like I didn't see the point. It was like, why are we fighting Vincent? Like how is he turning? Why is he turning into his galleon form? Like there was a lot to that didn't make sense. But what did you think about all the mansion and all that segment, Kokiri?
Was very interesting. Definitely took back from what I remember when I first played Crisis Core.
Mm.
Like definitely going on. Zack and Zephyr and like
Stupid Discord.
Shinra soldiers. Why did I say shoulders? God damn. But like going on that quest,
Mm.
exploring Nibelheim, climbing Mount Nibelheim, and then going to that mansion. Like the mansion is like exploring the mansion. Definitely
Mm.
felt like it felt like I was playing Crisis Core all
Yeah.
over again. Like being able to where like you have like Sephiroth just like reading in that little underground library, like, and then going crazy is like
Mm.
it's like am I really part of Genova? Like all of this and
Mm.
that and blah 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 blah. It's like it just gave me like that whole entire flashback and
Yeah.
it's like and to me it was just like why am I back here after the events that I
Mm.
experienced in the Crisis Core reunion? So it was like it was just all just flooding back to the
Mm.
memories of like 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 Sephiroth just like losing himself and like he's just all pissed and
Mm.
wants to annihilate everyone. It's like of course I know Neon would know this when they originally know it's like out of my way. I want to see my mother.
Mm. Oh yeah.
But
That's like actually what's really funny about that is people always use that meme or GIF for Mother's Day.
Mm.
oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Out of my way, I was going to see my mother.
Out of the way, I'm gonna see my mother.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, the mansion was definitely good. I do it. I mean, and I definitely like because I think I definitely like I liked how they did Vincent, but at the same time I also felt that I don't think there was much point for us fighting him, but yeah, the mansion was definitely a very I got to admit Nibelheim and the mansion in general. I was looking forward to all that. And then I forgot what I think I'm trying to remember what happens after Nibelheim. I think after Nibelheim, story wise, I believe the next biggest part is the Temple of the Ancients. I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, because
Because
after Nibelheim,
we go back to the
after
Gold Saucer, I think, don't we?
yeah, after Nibelheim, it's like, oh, we found we need to find this like keystone, so we're gonna go to the gold saucer. But we did speak about the gold saucer
Yeah.
earlier. The only thing I'll add to quickly to add to the end of that, because something I didn't bring up earlier.
Yep.
The only particular thing I didn't particularly enjoy about Rebirth in that particular chapter was that, yes, okay, we get to fight the Turks again in the arena, and we're taking part in this fight competition thing for Dio. But I didn't like the way they just shot us in Rufus. Like
Yeah.
it was like they just kind of like reused assets from the first game and gave us another Rufus fight, and it made no sense why the President Shinra is coming to this battle arena to fight Cloud. Like, it's so like if it was a simulation, you could be like, oh, cool, a simulate, but no, I didn't like that. I feel like that was absolutely not. No pun intended, because we fight apps or Absu. Absolutely no need for them to do that. Like,
Yeah.
giving us Don Corneo, fine. Give me the Turks, fine. But this is where I said, instead of giving us Rufus, and I think you said this earlier, Dark Mahmoud, but give us that Palmer fight.
Like,
They couldn't
yeah.
have given us that arena with Palmer, and that would have been maybe a better way to slot that in. So that was one particular thing I didn't like. You know, we spoke about the dates and everything else, but yeah. After that, it's basically getting the tiny Bronco, which I know we didn't want to probably talk about that too much, but one thing is, from a diehard fan, not just from playing the original game, but going in that tiny Bronco and doing what no video game has ever done since early days for a modern gen game, and that is for you to drive from one end of the world map to the other with no load screens. Like, especially for a JRPG.
Oh, yeah.
Because in this day and era, they don't do that. But in this game, they do. Okay, they do camouflage it a little bit. I know how they're doing it. But especially on PC, it loads super quick now. But, like, if you go from A to B from one end of the map, so I drove from Costa del Sol straight to Fort Condor, no load screen, and I'm at the other end of the map. No fast traveling needed, no load screens. I'm able to still, go around the water and pick up these like materials and stuff. Like, so I'm still kind of somewhat engaged, and it's not that long a journey, especially on PC. PS5 is a little bit different, but like, I legit, not joking, when I played that and I did that, I teared up and went, they fucking did it. They've fucking done it. They did it first, right? And I'm telling you now, part 3, they'll have it sussed so you're flying the Highland.
I hope,
And
yeah.
there's gonna be air combat on the Highland.
I
There's gonna be
hope.
And if you've seen Advent Children, you know how they jump from platform to platform, right, in that weapon. You know they're teasing that already with Remake, with the end of the platform fighting like that, and then they do it in Rebirth, which we'll get to in a bit. But they're teasing you for that, and I also suspect that they're gonna give you dynamic party switching, which means that in part 3, I think you're gonna be able to take in and out of a party instantly, like FF10.
Yeah. I would love
Sid,
that.
you're out. Vincent, you're in.
I would
Straight
love
in.
that.
Okay.
I would be so
I
sick.
think that's what they're gonna do, and that's how they're gonna advance this. Because Remake, they didn't give you synergy system. Rebirth, they give you synergy and all these cool things, and not just synergy, but you've got I call them mini synergies. You know, when it can do like power slash and all this, and then you've got proper synergy moves where you can do synchro cyclone and stuff like that. And using these like basically the team techs are called, right? Which is I think similar to is from another game. It's from Chrono Trigger. So I think part 3 that's what they're going to be doing. I think that's what they're edging us by teasing us, by giving us these things. But yeah, anyway, I loved the Tiny Bronco like itself. And I thought it was great. And we go to the Temple of the Ancients next, and shit's about to go down.
Oh yeah, because speaking of the Temple of Ancients, we finally get to the last area in the game. I love how they did the Temple of the Ancients. Because obviously, for those who played the original game, the Temple of the Ancients was it was confusing to all shit.
Oh boy, it was.
Oh yeah, especially when you go into like the big freaking labyrinth MC Escher room, but yeah, the way they did it, like you could feel like the look of the temple. Yeah, exactly. Like Welsh just said in the chat, the music was eerie as well. It added to the atmosphere. But the way they did the temple is you could tell that from the look of it and how the temple was structured, and you had like floating upside down things and like platforms and that, you could tell that the Ketra, they really were like something like otherworldly, something from legend, from myth. And just even like navigating the temple itself was kind of trippy. You know, you having to use all these different kind of like I think it was like different like kind of like symbols and stuff you had to use. And
Yeah.
I definitely love the temple. What about you, Kokiri? How did you find the Temple of the Ancients and Rebirth and navigating it and such?
It was really, really tricky.
Mm.
There were definitely were times I definitely end up getting lost, like knowing where am I? All right, where am I supposed to go? Where am
Mm.
I going? What am I doing here? But one part that threw me off, and I think maybe both of you can tell me the name of this boss, but dear God, what was it? It was like some Jesus. You know what? I'm just gonna call it. I'm gonna call it the Iron Giant. It was like this
Oh,
iron
I know
dude.
exactly what you're talking
Mm.
about.
The one
Yeah.
Yeah,
where,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that
It's hard.
yeah
Oh yeah.
that part really threw me off. It was like no matter how many times I used all my abilities to weaken, I was like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And then it
Mm.
just comes
Mm.
back to life. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I just killed you 2 times already.
Yeah, like it's
But but it just threw me off. But I feel like, but what really got me, what honestly
mm.
really destroyed my heart, um, because I know Neon here is definitely going to go really into depth details on what I'm about to bring up,
Mhm.
and that was with the trials of all the
Mm.
characters.
Ah,
Yes.
That just
Yes.
really
ah.
fucking destroyed
Barrett's
me
trial.
inside. Like
Takeri, you're not
everything
alone.
was
You're not
so
Mm.
alone.
beat.
You're not alone. I teared up at people's other people's trials that some people didn't
Mm.
tear up at. Some people teared up to ones that I didn't. So everyone has like a found a kind of
Mm.
relatability in these traumas that we all cry to. So you're not alone, Kakiri. A lot of people like were fucked up from that. They were like, "This
Yeah.
is crazy bad." Yeah.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Like like
Mhm.
seeing like one of them that really got like if I can name a few of them, like one of them that really
Sure.
got me was obviously was Red on the operating table with
Same.
Mm.
Melville.
Yeah, that
That
was
was really
Same.
fucked up.
traumatizing.
Me
But
too. Didn't like it.
honestly, what destroyed me a lot, and I'm sure this is probably to both of you and a lot of people, was playing as a young version of Aerith.
Oh yeah.
That hurt me.
Mm.
Yeah.
They did not have to do that.
That fucking oh no, that hurt me
But
a lot.
oh my God, and like you see like
Mm.
a young Arab just crying, like please can you help my mom, she's
Oh,
sick,
it's
like the meeting of her meeting Elmira, and like
mm.
you have all these messed up people in Midgard saying like step down kid or whatever. I'm like
Mm.
damn, I feel so bad for her,
Oh
dude,
hell
like,
yeah.
Mm.
and it's like it just really broke my heart to like like
Mm.
she did like Arif, like the young version of Arif, like she didn't need Elmira's help, even though Elmira was just trying to help out, and then she's over here crying, like walking back to her mommy, like saying like I'm sorry, mommy, I
Yeah,
wasn't able to help you. Like that hurt me, man.
that was
Like
ooh.
going back and then going back to her mom, and then just carrying like the final death words from from Ilfana. Saying
Mm.
that's her name. Am I saying that name right? Ilfana.
Yeah,
Fauna,
he's
yeah.
been right. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, but like just hearing those final words, saying like please, you know, take Air somewhere safe. I'm like that destroyed me so much.
Mm. Oh yeah, like Darius definitely destroyed me. Like Barrett's freaking destroyed me as well. Like freaking like Neon was saying earlier, all the shit Barrett's gone through, and then he has to go through
Mhm.
that trial, and he sees his wife, and then his wife is just like, what is it? I think his wife was like saying something about something about dying or something like that, or something about what's going on about currently, and it just it hit hard with the way Barrett being able to see his wife, and it's just an
Yeah.
illusion. Like it's
Absolutely. Yeah. I like
Aerith
to
and
hear
Barrett's.
I like to hear Neon's take on all the
Oh yeah,
trials on this.
oh yeah.
I want to hear what I'm interested in what you have to say, Neon.
Mm.
Yeah, well, actually, similar to you, like, well, actually, similar to Bronx here. Aerith's wasn't. It wasn't that it wasn't bad. I still
Mm.
found it upsetting, but not to the point of crying. A
Yeah.
lot of people. I'm talking. I don't want to name them because it'll be putting them on the spot. But there's a really big streamer I watched. Really big streamer. Like he has like 4,000, 5,000 viewers, and I watched him play it, and
Mm.
he's a bit of a hard ass. He's a bit like. It doesn't really say much to his chat. Like, he doesn't ever show emotion that much. And I watched him, and he bawled his eyes out at the Aerith one.
Ooh.
For me, what messed me up was Barrett's, and the same as what Bronx said. Aerith's wasn't as bad for me, but Barrett's I was just broken by because he's then seeing his wife again for the first time, and it's obviously some sort of like quote unquote trauma vision, and
Yeah.
then seeing his village the way it is and reliving it again. So for some reason, again, I've only seen this scene once, by the way, because I've only beaten the game.
Yeah.
It was over a year ago now, but like that for me messed me up. Seeing Red 13 being tracked the way that he is or was being tracked. With his little flashback of what it was like in the Shinra building when it was being operated on. I'm an animal lover. I have a cat. I've had dogs when I was younger, so seeing like Red 13 suffering the way he was, it was also kind of triggering for me. So but all of them were very, very traumatic to watch as as individuals for their own reasons. And this game is really about loss and grief.
Yeah.
That's what FF7 is about. That's the theme of FF7. Rebirth's theme, not so much, but it's still there because it's still obviously FF7 OG, and you can see that now all of these people have traumas.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like they're all Power Rangers, right? They've all got a backstory of how
yeah.
they got their powers, right? So it's kind of like that. We all know how Vincent got his. He was experimented on.
Yeah.
We all know Barrett lost his arm, so he ended up getting a gun grafted to it to take revenge on Shinra. Tifa's village burnt down. That was her trauma, but her trauma actually was when she fell off the bridge. She actually lost consciousness for a few days,
Yeah.
and that's why her memories are fucked up. And she explains that in Gongaga. Cloud obviously lost all of his family in the we also know he's mega fucked up. He's fucked.
Oh yeah.
But like his village obviously and his family burnt down, and it was his dad's already dead, but his mum then dies. And I believe there's a line in FF7 Remake where Sephiroth's saying something along the lines of, I could smell the burning flesh of your mother.
Oh.
Which is fucked
That
up,
is
right?
fucked. Yeah.
Jesus, man.
That's
all these characters, maybe barring Kate Sith, have all these like traumas there, and it really elevates all of them in these scenes. Temple itself was incredible. Something I was fanboying about because I'm a speedrunner, and Demon's Gate, which I know I've skipped a boss. Demon's Gate, I'm very aware that Demon's Gate was coming up. Demon's Gate in FF7 original is one of the harder bosses.
Oh
in the
hell
game.
yeah!
Even in speedruns, is a run killer. He can be just an absolute dick. So I knew that it was going to be a red dragon, but red dragon design of that fight is so fucking cool.
It was.
And they're flooding the room, I believe, with like fire, or is it lava?
I think it's like I think it's like a lava. I think it's like and I think it's like fire. I believe. I think.
Yeah. So giving us that boss, and also giving us and I say this is optional because in the original it didn't happen, but giving us another Turks fight.
Oh,
and I believe Sung says something like or to Sang so Sung says something like says something to Aerith, and Aerith's like something like, "Oh, I don't want to fight you," because she again has this like connection to basically being brought up around the Shinra and has known Sung since she was a young kid.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to fight him. And so I really like what they did with the temple. They give you that solo section with Aerith, playing around with like the power of the planet or whatever she's doing with these puzzles and stuff. I thought it was all really well done. And then they got Demon's Gate, and I was like, holy shit, here we go. Like, this was like for a speedrunner, and to have a speedrunner community and chat, and then for me to fight Demon's Gate in FF7 Remake, I was like, oh, here we fucking go, we're doing it. Oh my god. What a fucking fight!
Oh yeah, and you didn't need the curse ring or the fury ring.
I absolutely did not know. I remember thinking that I struggled more on Red Dragon, I think, than Demon's Gate, but they were both very cool fights. And if I'm also not mistaken, again, I've only played it once. Isn't there 2 Demon's Gates?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, there's like 2 of them.
They divide at one point, don't they?
Because then they start like getting crushed.
No, there was like 2 of them, like one on each opposite side. Neon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I think they're like slowly. Yeah, it's so good. And I'm not sure if we're ready to move on from it, so I'll hang on for Dark Bahamut. But I guess fair warning that there's one more thing I'll say, Dark Bahamut. But I'll let you navigate where you want to take us. And
yeah. I was just about to say something that noticed that Bronx said in chat as well. The thing about Barrett, it makes it more fucked up as well. The first thing he does is reach up to touch Myrna's face with the hand he no longer has.
Oh shit! I never noticed that. 'Cause again, I've
Mm.
only played it once, and it was like nearly a year ago.
Yeah, he reached up
Oh
with his
shit!
right
That's even.
hand.
Oh, that's so
It's
bad.
fucked up.
That is
Like
fucked up,
it
actually.
is. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you can segue into what you were gonna say, Neon, because I'm gonna talk about the event that happens at the end of Temple Ancients in a minute anyway. So
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So
Oh, we're ready.
I
that
wanted to
event.
absolutely fanboy here and say if there's
Hmm.
any voice actor I'd love to meet, I want to meet Cody Christian,
Mm.
aka Cloud Strife.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because well, he's not just a voice actor. He's an actor as well,
Yeah.
and he's in TV shows and movies. But like, I think he did a phenomenal job at bringing my childhood video game character since I was 10 years old to life.
Mm.
And his performance in this next particular scene, where Cloud is, oh, he has just lost it.
Hmm.
He's literally, come on, Aerith, like, and he's so creepy. It's like Cloud's out of body, like
Mm.
his, oh my god, the Shining kind of fucked up
Yeah.
era, and it is such like a role he takes on, and these scenes, and I've only seen these once, these scenes that just play afterwards, I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and I don't know if you wanted to talk about that exact scene as well, Dark Family, but I thought that was just such a
It
mad scene
was.
to watch.
It was, yeah. It was definitely a fucked up scene. Especially since in that scene, it's like in the original, you're not even sure if Cloud is being controlled, if he's starting to
Mm,
lose it, like if he's starting to become like the Black Robes. There's a lot of like, guesswork involved in that scene.
yeah,
Um, and I know there was a lot of talk about are they gonna save Aerith? Are they gonna let Aerith die?
yeah,
Um, and that's something I really found interesting as well. We're not actually, it's not actually made clear what's happened because after the whole Temple of the Ancients, they're all seen out, sat there on the grass. It seems like they're sad, but Aerith is still with them and she's talking with them. But it doesn't seem
oh,
like
the
it seems like
forgotten
they're
capital, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it seems like they're talking to each other, and it
Mm,
seems like they're responding to Aerith, but then it's that thing of is she dead? Is she not? Like, it's one of those
yeah.
things that you don't really get. But Aerith's death like definitely hit me harder than the original. Like, what about you, Kokiri? Because obviously you used to be a massive Aerith guy before you started liking Tifa after playing
Oh,
Rebirth. So
before I converted.
yeah, so how did you feel about Aerith? How did you feel about Aerith?
Some might say upgraded.
Yep.
More and more
Some people
upgraded.
might.
Yep, from B to D. So, I mean, what? Anyway, yeah. How did you feel about Eris?
Are you talking about what happened to her?
Yeah, like, like Eris, supposed, death. Like, do you think she actually died? Do you think she is like she survived? Is it? What do you think?
Honestly, I mean, if this is more like a remake of the original
Mhm.
game, because to me, I kind of got confused at first, because like you see Aerith at the little altar, she's just
Yeah.
praying, and then you see Sephiroth, or of course you also it's Genova taking on the form of Sephiroth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right about that, or am I
Yeah,
wrong?
you are. Yeah, it's but if we're going by original, it is actually Genova taking the form of Sephiroth because Sephiroth is actually encased in materia in the northern crater.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, but yeah, but seeing that, I thought like, okay, he's, Cloud is obviously he's gonna save her, and like, and it is, and from our point of view, it's like, yeah, you know, Cloud actually, swings a
Yeah,
sword
he
at,
blocks a sword.
Yeah, he swings a sword and he's like clashing right into it, and it like prevents
Mm.
Aerith from like, getting stabbed and all, and like, I mean, when you just see these little bits and pieces, or it's like it just like flashes like oh there was like oh there's blood on the ground.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
Mm.
And I was like, didn't Cloud save her?
Yeah.
And like it just to me it just really it just fucked with your brain, thinking like what happened? Like, is she dead? Is she not dead? I'm like, what's going on? Like but honestly it was just really sad to see what happened to Aerith, and like,
yeah,
of course, like going into the final boss of the game, like against Sephiroth, was like, I mean, it was a really long fight,
Oh,
but it
yeah.
was extremely intense. Like,
Oh yeah.
starting off with with both Cloud and Zack teaming out together, and then you have all
Yeah.
your friends like fighting this massive behemoth of
Mm.
Sephiroth's body, and then the ending, like out of nowhere, like here comes Aerith, and you're just like,
Mm.
huh? Like, aren't you I was
Yeah.
like, aren't you dead? Like, which I'm sure, a lot of people definitely tend to theorize this, and I like to hear your take on this later, Neon. But a lot of people were saying that Aerith in that fight, like in the final fight against Sephiroth, was Aerith from OG7, which honestly, like, kind of made my head kind of like maybe scratch my head a little bit.
Well,
Yeah, I
like,
think bottom line
but
is part 3 is going to clear everything up, though.
yeah,
But yeah,
because
gonna clear
obviously,
that up.
obviously in
But
Rebirth,
personally, I do think she's dead because the thing is, because like at the end of the game, like you see like Sid and the others trying to like work on the Highwind, trying to fix it up, and they're getting ready to go up north, and
yeah,
you see like Cloud like infuses the black materia in this Buster Sword, so shit's gonna go down
Oh,
in the
hell
next
yeah.
game, no matter what. But it just the fact that like the Cloud is like the only one who can see her, and nobody else can't see her.
yeah,
Like she doesn't talk, and like no one can see her. Like Tifa can't see her, Barra can't see her, Red can't see her. No one can't see her except for Cloud. Cloud is the only one who can see her, who can communicate with her.
yeah.
So it just sounds like something like part of me says that Aerith mostly like returns to the planet, but it says a lot. But
Oh yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Neon?
Yeah, what do you
Especially with
think?
that theory I said.
So one thing that I will mention just before I get onto the Forgotten Capital, this is like a 10-second thing.
Yeah.
Is when we're going through what they would call the sleeping forest, right? Fun fact that after the Temple of the Ancients, I needed to pause or stand still for just a minute and look at my surroundings and talk to chat. Right? I wanted to do that to talk about that scene that we just saw. And you know what the game does?
What?
It pushes you. It's pushing Cloud. Like if you stand still, the characters are continuing to walk. Cloud will slowly start to walk a few steps in front.
Shit.
You are forced to walk to your destiny, whatever
I
that
didn't.
is in front.
Ooh.
And if you, it's in my playthrough, and I'm trying to stand still so I can just like stop and maybe explore or look around or something, and it won't let you. It's pushing you. And it was around, I think it was around the live stream segment of Tifa's live stream segment, if you like, where I noticed that both these whisperers were different colors, white and black.
Yeah.
This was important for later when I discovered later on that as we started approaching the Forgotten City, that there was a load of these, whisperers still floating around.
Yeah.
Now, there's also a book called Livestream White and Livestream Black.
Yeah.
And Livestream Black's about how Sephiroth's able to travel through the live stream. Don't ask me how, because I don't know. I haven't read him yet. And Livestream White is about Aerith, right? You know that the white ones are basically corresponding to Aerith, and the black ones are corresponding to Sephiroth. Now, the long story short of it all is, by the way, in my playthrough, this is the only part I would say I wanted to mention, but the walk or the long windy walk up to the save point before the final like push, if you like, the save point where the game tells you gear up everyone because you're gonna fucking need it.
Yeah.
On my walk up there, I had these flashback trauma, IRL trauma, of when I was 10 years old, of the not knowing what's about to happen.
Yeah.
To the point where I was shaking and my eyes were watering up.
Bloody hell.
Now, if you look at the video, you won't be able to see it too much, but if you see, I don't speak. I go quiet. We were in sub-only mode, and, when I'm doing variety, we get like 50, 60 people, which is, to some it might be a lot, but to me, that's lower than what I normally get compared to speedruns. So I'm there, I'm in sub-only mode, and, only people who sub can talk, and we're chilling, and I'm walking up, and I'm just like, I'm absolutely devastated. We're all crying with uncertainty, because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Nothing was spoiled to me in a month of me playing it. I geared up, and we got to the scene. I didn't overly scream, I didn't react, and I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. And I kind of just sat stone-faced, watching, like, Cloud swing his sword up, potentially save Aerith, and then all this bullshit was going on.
Yeah.
Now, it's funny because it's kind of weird that if you asked me, is Aerith dead or alive, I'd tell you. because my answer is slightly complicated and a bit kind of contradicting myself a bit. So I think that there's a way that she's alive, believe it or not. There's a reality where she's stuck in between this a reality where she is alive, and I think Cloud's seeing that,
Yeah.
right? But in that their reality, she's not there, but she's also not dead. So she's kind of floating, if you like, at the moment. One would even argue that she's in the live stream right now, right? Maybe traveling through the live stream, who knows?
Yeah.
And this is why some people, like Akiri said, is why it's theoried that Aerith from the original is the one that we're fighting with for the true Aerith, proper Aerith, for the final fight, right? And some people say that she maybe traveled through the live stream and that's maybe her. So I think that at the moment they can go either way. I think that she is alive. I also think more importantly to mention is Cloud's fucked up at this point. So, and I think it could be one of two theories. A strong theory is that us knowing about Genova, the power to manipulate, the power to mimic, is that she is basically impersonating Aerith through Cloud. So Cloud still is like, well, my girlfriend's still alive. Aerith's still alive.
Yeah.
And it's kind of really eerie. There's one particular scene right after all the final fight with Aerith and Aerith and Sephiroth and Cloud, that when Cloud is sat there and they're looking at this, this pool of water, which I'm guessing we're gonna see a scene of where Cloud did actually go over, drop Aerith in the water, but we didn't see it happen. So fans didn't get that closure, and Cloud sat. So the gang watched him do that, sat down, and Cloud's just staring there, stone faced, right? Pushing with his glorified PTSD, pushed that away and went, no, I'm fine, right? And then basically the party members just saw him and went, we're gonna have to get going. We can't stay here all day.
Yeah.
And Cloud's like, sounds good. Like, Aerith just died. You don't say, sounds good.
Oh, no.
Right? So Cloud is fucked up, but there's the really eerie scene is, if you go and watch it now, is Cloud starts walking away, looks at Tifa, says, come on, Tifa. And she just looks at him like, what the fuck? Like, she's like, who are you now?
Jesus.
And Cloud, if you watch Cloud, he turns away, and as he looks, he kind of does a smile and then walks. Because he's seen Aerith next to him. It's so fucked up. I was also going to mention something else. So about the whole scene of Cloud, when Aerith's potentially being stabbed and saved and whatever else, and they're flicking between it. They show you the distortion of Cloud basically saying those famous lines of, she'll no longer laugh, she'll no longer cry.
Yeah.
My eyes are burning, my lips are dry, and all this. You see him mimicking it, and you see tears on his face, and it switches in and out of distortion where there's Cloud with tears and Cloud without.
Yeah.
And I think Cloud is seeing somehow visions of two realities playing at once. One with Aerith alive, one with her dead.
Yeah.
And so Sephiroth does say a really interesting line. Forgive me for not remembering it, but it's the conflux of worlds, blah 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 blah. Sephiroth says something. This is essentially saying that he wants Cloud's anger. He wants his emotion, because he is the conflicts of these worlds, right? He wants to use this power to become one, blah blah blah, right? So, and this is the reason why we're gonna call her. Most people call her Omni Aerith. This Aerith, when you go on this a magical date, when you wake up and you take her to go and buy the stamp stuff and all this. Now, that world, compared to the worlds we've seen with Zack and everyone, was the happy world, right? All the other worlds were in despair. The ones with the crack in the sky, that was where Zack was, right? And it was Aerith who hid Cloud and herself in this happy world, because Sephiroth wouldn't look there, because he needs sadness, he needs grief, and he needs war and conflict and all this, which I'll get a bit more onto that in a minute. And so what happens is Sephiroth wants to feed off this anger, this hatred that he actually mentions, but Aerith, even though she's being stabbed, and whether this is real or fake, I don't know, reaches out to Cloud and says, "It's okay, Cloud. and calms him down, right?
Mm.
Now, when the Genova fight starts, everyone in the team even has limit breaks.
Yeah.
But Cloud does not, because he's not angry.
Mm.
He's not processing anything right now.
Yeah.
And also, there's a scene seconds before that where Sephiroth's mentioning about anger and hate,
Mm.
and they're showing all your characters, like, I guess the word is grimacing, you know, where they're showing their teeth and they're angry and all this. Oh,
Mm.
V just did a small tinky
Oh,
raid, and she did a little lurky raid.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, V. Thank you for the raid.
I'll send you mine over as well. But like, this anger is what Sephiroth needs, and I think this is why Sephiroth is like, you know, he wants Cloud to be upset and angry, and maybe you know, he knows. I think maybe he knows what's going to happen in the future. Maybe he knows Advent Children shit, because Advent Children for sure is going to play a part in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In part 3, like I don't know if we'll get to do the fight from Advent Children or anything like that. I'm going to send my Lurker Raid over as well.
No worries.
Hey, look at Red. Like, I think it's really interesting when you see all these scenes. And one of my favorite lines is where Cloud's like, "I got this," right? But something I did see, I can't remember whose ending I was watching. Someone's ending, but after the whole fight with Sephiroth and Genova,
yeah.
Cloud walks over to Aerith, and I think in that moment. I might be getting mistaken here. There's no one around her. It's just him walking towards Aerith.
Yeah.
And he just goes to pick her up, and he's like, "Come on, Aerith, wake up." Which, by the way, is also heartbreaking, right?
Oh, hell
to hear
yeah.
someone say to someone dead, "Wake up." It's like, you know, like some sort of IRL trauma if you've lost a relative or something, right?
Yeah.
But what actually happens is then the camera angle flicks, it just switches over, and it's the whole party's around him. So it's this weird like thing where Cloud's walking over to Aerith on her own, but then around him he's got his party members, and it's almost like he doesn't see them there.
Yeah.
So it's this really weird thing, and I think the ending for Rebirth is quite convoluted. And on the initial beating the game, I wasn't really unsure of how I felt about the game.
Yeah.
About that ending, about where they were going. But the more I've thought about it, I know they will make sense of it.
Oh yeah.
I know it seems more convoluted, more questions than what Remake did to Rebirth. They will tie everything together, and I do think there's a bigger story than what people are thinking going on. My biggest hot take, I guess, is that I think Zack and Aerith will end up being together. I think there'll be a happy ending for them.
I'm hoping so, because there was an Advent Children.
Yeah, I just see them getting together in some way, and I think I'm not saying Cloud and Tifa will get together. But some people have rumored that with the end of the game of Cloud putting on the black materia into his weapon, that maybe Cloud's going to go into his. I don't know if you guys have seen Christopher Reeve's Superman 3.
Yeah.
The
dark
where
kind of.
it's like a shadow version, and some people are calling Cloud to be like the Dark Knight, like an FF14 with like his great sword, and he's using this black magic now and stuff. So. Some people are going to say that he's going to go into his like toxic, you know, fucked up mindset with his Dark Knight powers and stuff. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't think we'll be using black magic or the dark materia in that sense, but I do think that he's going to be fucked, even more fucked in the head now, and saying some really disgusting things. And another theory about, you know, like I said before about this. Aerith is it Genova mimicking Aerith to Cloud, which could be very, very dangerous to Cloud, because he's going to believe what Aerith says.
Yeah.
And yet, this is obviously Genova. And he already knows where to go. He's saying, we need to go north. I think he's being manipulated by Aerith or maybe Genova to go north to give the black materia to Sephiroth. That's what I think is happening. My only last point I'll mention here, and I'll let you guys talk then. I've been talking a while. My only last point is when you have Aerith in the field, it's clear that Cloud still sees her.
Yeah. And
it's clear that that Aerith is the Aerith in the live stream, not Genova. And it's clear because Nanaki feels her presence and says, Aerith. Right, so he feels that, right? He senses it.
Yeah.
And then finally, what I found was interesting was that when Cloud says like, "Oh, I promise you, I'll stop Sephiroth," and she's
Mm.
like, "You promise?" and all this around that scene, she says, "I'll stop Meteor." But
Yeah.
I find that line weird because Cloud's got the black materia.
Yeah,
So
I think
Cloud would be thinking, "Well, I've got the black materia. How is he going to summon Meteor?"
Aerith obviously already knows that Meteor's going to be summoned either way. Like,
And she just essentially told Cloud,
mm,
and Cloud
oh,
doesn't give it away yet
yeah, because his Meteor hasn't even been mentioned at all in the game at
at
all.
all.
So, yeah, that I think that definitely hints that, yeah, the Meteor is still going to have. I think Cloud's going to go
Exactly.
and give Sephiroth the Black Materia just
Mhm.
like he does in OG as well. Like,
Absolutely. It's
um,
the premise of remake and rebirth is
mm,
the story's gonna happen the same way.
yeah,
Events will happen in different orders, aka Rocket Town, for
yeah,
example. But the game will play out the same, as far as I'm
mm,
aware. But as for the final ending, who knows? Your guess
oh,
is as
yeah,
good as mine.
Yeah.
oh, yeah. But two more things I want to talk about before we call it
Sure.
is the last fight. Kokiri
Yes.
mentioned it, the last fight. How many people fucking freaked out as soon as we saw Zack the puppy come into the fight, and we could actually control Zack the puppy, like, because because for those who obviously you've seen him playing a game, we get to play as Zack, and actually during fight as him during the final battle, and he has abilities from Crisis Core. He's got Cross Slash, he's got Rush Assault, and he's a really great to fun and play. And of course, we see throughout the entire game, we see snippets of Zack. He's with Aerith, even though Aerith is Cloud, and we see, the walls between realities are breaking down, and because it was, and you've got many people saying, was it Aerith? Was it Aerith who caused the damage to the timeline? Was it Sephiroth? Who knows? Most likely it was Sephiroth because Sephiroth's pretty much in the live stream now, pretty much. But yeah, like there's still that thing of Zack coming over to help Cloud during the fight with
Mhm.
Sephiroth, and like it's one of those things where it's like Bronx just said in the chat. You get the chills when they both say protect your honor, and
Yeah.
again, it's one of those things where like you just you just can't help but you get hyped and you think, okay, is Zack going to be in part 3? Are we going to play as Zack? I have
I
a
have I have some news for you, by the way, and
Mhm.
it only was tweeted yesterday, so
What's
I'll
up?
answer that in just a minute.
Yeah. No worries.
Go for it.
I was
Mm.
about to say, like, it's very possible we may get Zack in part 3 as maybe a
Mhm.
party member, or
Mhm.
maybe we get more prominent role. Which I'm really hoping as well. But what were you gonna say, Neon?
There was a tweet. It was literally tweeted yesterday.
Mm,
It says at 2:15 a.m. my time, but
yeah,
Shinra Archaeology Department tweet out on Twitter a lot of really cool stuff.
yeah.
And it says here, asked if we'll get more gameplay with Zack compared to Remake. I think that must mean Rebirth, since thousands of people want to play as him.
Yeah.
FF7 Rebirth director Naoki Hamaguchi says, while he can't say much about Part 3, he'll say that Zack has an impressionable role again
Mm.
and thinks Zack fans will be satisfied.
Ooh, I'm really hoping. That sounds
So
Oh,
there you
promising.
go.
that would be
There's an
nice.
exclusive on the
That does
podcast.
sound promising. That doesn't. You heard it here first, guys. Well, hopefully.
I'll
um.
tell you something also really funny.
Yeah.
The day before the game came out, Square Enix sent me the code for the game,
Yeah.
which was very, very kind, and I was very, very privileged.
Yeah.
Except sometimes when you take on a game like that, you have to read the NDA.
Mm.
They allowed me to stream it a day early, which I didn't because I kept my promise and wanted to stream it with my audience and
Yeah.
experience it with
Valid.
them. And I didn't want to spoil them as well. So anyway, I was reading through this NDA and a non-disclosure agreement, for those who don't know what that stands for. And one of the first things I read, I didn't know,
Mm.
and Square Enix spoiled me
Oh shit.
big time.
Obviously, I won't
They
ask because.
no. I can tell you now because the
Oh,
game's
okay.
been out. In the NDA, one of the first things that they said I'm not allowed
Mm.
to mention is that Zack's playable.
Oh fucking
I
hell!
didn't know.
Damn.
Oh boy.
I fucking lost my shit. I read this,
Oh.
by the way. I had my phone, like, facing myself on camera,
Yeah.
on stream, and I read it. And bearing in mind, we'd only played the demo where you start in the flashback, which we all thought made sense, but
Yeah.
they've skipped out the Zack part. And I read it, my jaw dropped, and I went, guys,
Mm.
I was like, you ain't fucking ready for Rebirth.
Oh
You
yeah.
ain't ready, because like Zack fans would love it, and
Oh hell
that
yeah.
was one of the first things I read. So I didn't actually know that we were gonna play as Zack at all
Mm.
until the end of the year. So I was really I was semi pissed, but I was like also like, holy shit, tomorrow
Yeah,
morning I'm playing
nah.
it.
That's
But that
oh
was one of the funny moments. I just thought I'd share that because like it was
Jesus.
so hard not to react to it as well. You know
I
what I mean?
bet. Oh my god. I know
Oh
I
man.
reacted to it. As soon as I saw Zach, I was like, "Come on!" Like I was screaming. I was raising the fucking roof. I was like, "Oh my god, one of the best characters. The boy is here. You know, the puppy is here to fight with us." I was like,
Yeah.
"Ugh." But
Yeah, I lost my shit when we did
oh
get to
yeah,
play as Zack and Cloud, and
oh yeah,
Zack had all of his skill set from like
mm,
meteor shots and all this
yeah. I
from
loved it.
Crisis Core, and they actually have like a for those who maybe didn't see it, there's a synergy ability where he teams up with Cloud,
Mm,
um,
yes,
and
yeah,
there's also a really cool thing in the when Zack's fighting in a church,
yeah.
and if you go around the flower bed, it brings up like a something around you, like an aura around you, and I think you're able to ping some white magic or holy magic, and it's Aerith helping him.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
I
nice.
It's Aerith protecting him in the flower
Oh,
bed that he crashed on, and he's pinging. I think it's holy magic at it.
damn.
So fucking
I'll have to
cool.
keep an eye out for that next time I play it. Then Jesus.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, what's the flower bed do? There's something going on here." But I believe I don't know if I did it or saw someone else do it, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool."
Oh my god, it sounds it. Oh, but God, oh, I think to wrap up as well,
Yeah.
I want to hear you guys' theories about name for part 3. My personal theory is I think it's going to be called Final Fantasy VII Requiem, because a requiem is a tribute to it's basically a tribute or a performance, and I think requiem, it could be requiem as like a tribute to everyone they lost, including Aerith. Maybe it's a last little a note to Aerith. So I think requiem could be a good one. But what do you guys think? What about you, Kokiri?
Honestly, I can't think of anything, so I'm gonna go with Requiem.
Mm.
Yeah.
You brought up some interesting points there, so I'm going with that.
Nah, that's fair. And what about you, Neon? What do you think it's going to be called?
All right, I've been on this boat since I beat the game, and it's one of the final lines in the game, and it's reunite. Because
Ooh.
Zack says, "Who's to say we can't reunite?"
Mm-hmm.
And I
Ooh.
think reunite would make sense.
Ooh.
And also a fun fact. I say fun fact like it's fact. Fun theory, I guess, is I think that with all these different worlds of all these different stamps, there isn't any more.
Mm.
There's no more. Right? The only kind of like I guess technical other world you're gonna see is this floating Aerith, wherever she
Yeah.
is. But I
Oh yeah.
think that Zack is actually in our world.
Mm.
I think he is in the same world now as Cloud and Tifa and the gang. So I
Ooh.
do think
Hmm.
that we're gonna end up meeting Zack
I
again,
hope.
but in person, and
Mm.
somehow he's alive, right? Because
Oh yeah.
he's somehow maybe traveled. I'm guessing this is gonna be some technical waves saying he's traveled through the live stream. So I think reunite is mine, and I
Mm.
think it kind of makes sense for
Yeah.
maybe reuniting with maybe Zack reuniting with Aerith,
Mm.
maybe us reuniting with Zack, maybe Zack and
Mm.
Cloud reunited again, or maybe Cloud reuniting his memories
Mm.
because he hasn't. So I think there's a lot of double meanings there. So I'm going with reunite
Oh
personally.
yeah. I
Um, I think that's a strong one. I think Requiem is a very strong one.
Mm.
I hear a lot of people say that one.
I know. I know you said one earlier when we were speaking earlier today as well, Kokiri. FF7 Reconnect.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a good one. Them
Mm.
reconnecting with one another,
Yeah.
like what
I
Neon
think.
was saying, like with
Mm.
reconnecting with Zach,
Mm. Oh yeah, I think
like in
that one.
person. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
I
see that.
even.
I think that's a strong theory as well. Because like
Mm.
the thing is, I'm never ever gonna say no, it can't be that. Because
Yeah.
the thing is, that's what makes theories fun and
Yeah.
podcasts fun, where no one's right.
Oh
Like
yeah.
when you're theorizing, I think they'll go with a shorter name like remake,
Mm.
rebirth, reunite,
Yeah.
or renew or restore,
Mm.
like Ron's written. I don't know if they'll go with a long one like reclamation or something like that. I don't
Mm.
know. But again, they could do
Yeah.
resurgence, they could do renaissance. I don't
Mm.
know. They could do anything they wanted to at the end of the day.
Mm.
I feel like they might follow a small word,
Oh yeah.
syllable in that format, but I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. Please, Square Enix, please send me to any event
Yeah.
that there is ever gonna be of a Rebirth. Like with Rebirth, they sent me to the a party on the day of the game coming out.
Ooh,
They asked me if I would like to go to a Rebirth launch party, and I was like, "Well,
nice.
bro, one, I'm sick.
Oh no.
Two, yeah, I was sick as a dog. That
No.
was day one of Rebirth. And two,
Damn.
I kept a promise to my community that I would stream the game.
Yeah.
So I said no, but they
Nah.
only gave me 3 days notice, so I would
That
have happily have gone, but
that's
I
valid.
couldn't. I was gutted.
One other name last minute as well.
Yeah.
I just thought of is FF7 Remembrance.
Hmm.
Oh.
That's a really strong one because
Mm.
memories,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Not just like memories for Cloud, but like memories of like maybe Zack and
Yeah.
Aerith.
Or recollect.
Mm.
Recollect as well.
Recollect.
Yeah, recollect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Hey.
Well, the funniest one I've heard is FF7 refund. Which I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like, you're not going to want a refund on this one.
So something that's not going to happen with any of these remakes then.
Hey.
But yeah, no, I think honestly, I think with those theories, I think this is a good point then because we've gone on longer, like almost three times as long as a normal podcast.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
but honestly, yeah, I think we've spoken a lot about Rebirth, and it's definitely been great hearing you guys, how you guys feel about the game and your theories and that, and it's been great having you guys here. And yeah, I hope you guys obviously, have enjoyed your time here as well on the Eidolon Wall.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, thanks for having us.
Oh yeah.
It's really nice to talk about. I mean, this is like one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game. Barring it's not the most perfect game,
Yeah.
because I think every game deserves criticism, and if you didn't criticize your own favorite game, then there's something, there's something else not right about
Yeah.
it, right? So I think that healthy criticism of the game is good, but hearing other thoughts about other key moments of the games and how you felt about it and your
Yeah.
takes and things, I love to hear it. I'm one of these guys who will listen to a theory and I can never say that's not going to happen because you don't know. That's the point of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fun theorizing conversation, and if someone doesn't think anything, that's also okay. Some people are just on the boat for the ride.
Exactly.
So, and wherever it goes, it takes us. But roll on part 3.
Oh,
My
yeah.
prediction, if there is a prediction, is January 2027.
Ooh.
And I think you'll get a teaser this Summer Games Fest, and I think you'll get the title drop this summer.
Fingers
The
crossed.
teaser will be a 1-minute teaser. It won't be like
Yeah.
a 2-minute teaser or
Fingers
3-minute.
crossed.
You'll maybe see a tiny bit of gameplay. You'll see maybe the theme that they're gonna go for. Maybe a glimpse of Zack to get people hype or something, and they'll give you the title drop done,
Oh,
and that'll
yeah.
be Summer Games Fest. I'm calling it now, and
Oh,
I think they'll start marketing
yeah.
start marketing a bit more. Maybe get a Tokyo Game Show at the end of the year and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So
Oh, before
We'll
we
see.
Yeah.
before we forget,
Absolutely.
so then before we end, actually, one last thing as well. Now you said about theme that I want everyone's opinion on, right? The fucking Aerith song that they announced that they showed off. The Aerith song that they showed off.
Promises to Keep. Holy shit, what a
Yes.
song.
It was beautiful.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah.
Honestly,
I
hands down.
cried actually in the game. I actually cried at that because
Hell
again,
yeah.
an OG fan who knew what was going to happen from an OG fan perspective, to then hear that song
Oh yeah.
of Promises to Keep, and then I also just to reference the song here, I thought it was really cool that they said Promises to Keep, and then at the very end, when Aerith's like, Cloud's like, I'll stop Meteor, I'll stop Sephiroth, and she says, do you promise?
Yeah.
Cloud says, I promise.
That was a great touch. That was.
And that is a promise he cannot keep.
Yeah. Oh, but we have to just see what happens in part 3. But yeah. But yeah. Anything else you guys want to say before we end it here?
Yes. Thank you for having me. I
Of
appreciate
course.
it a lot. Thank you for spending 4 hours for both of you.
Oh, yeah.
4 hours listening to this nerd talk about FF7. He knows what's going to happen. He really doesn't. Second of all, I think everybody should be following Dark Bahamut on his podcast and coming to drop by either some more of his podcast or his live streams. They're super cozy and they're such a fun time.
Ah, well, thank you.
And you should also follow Kikiri as well, who I only just met
Yes.
today. Don't follow them anywhere.
Oh yeah.
Yes, go and follow these guys. They are absolute awesome, absolute legends in both their fields and games they specialize in. But what about you, Kokiri? Whatever. Any other parting words before we end?
This game sucks.
This
Damn.
game sucks.
I can hear the salt. I can hear the salt from the Queen's Blood losses.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's
but
all
honestly,
we hear. That's all we hear is we hear the Queen's Blood music.
Yeah.
0 out of 10.
God damn
Queen's
it.
Blood fucking ruins it me.
But
I'll
yes.
Well,
never-
that
I'll
was
never
in
look
game
at a
because
I'll
Queen's
never
Blood
look at
wasn't
a
good
card.
Kappa.
I'd rather play Pokemon TCG than that.
Oh,
than
yeah.
that bloody crap.
Oh,
But
God.
jokes aside, honestly, to me, it's definitely is one of my favorite games of all time. Best Final Fantasy game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just like Neon said, like it's not perfect. I mean, it's not perfect. I mean, then again, not every game is perfect, But honestly, it is. I mean, it's not perfect, but honestly, to me, it is definitely is the best Final Fantasy game I've
Yeah.
ever played. It's absolutely remarkable. I mean, there's no telling if third game is actually going to, will dethrone Rebirth because honestly, there's no telling what they can do next to make it to like after all this, what can they do next to make it better?
Exactly.
But honestly, incredible game. Definitely one of my favorite games of all time, and Tifa's the best girl.
Oh yeah, hands down. But again, once again, thank you guys for being here. To everyone watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for watching this. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. To those watching on Twitch, please, I hope you guys will join me for next month, where to celebrate April, and it'll be a couple of days after April 1st, to celebrate the time of joking and pranks and that. I'm going to talk about everyone's favorite Harlequin, Kefka Palazzo from Final Fantasy VI. We're going to talk about Kefka. Going to talk about his story, his intentions, his motives, his what drives him. We're going to talk about Final Fantasy's version of the Joker. And I hope you guys will join me for that. So to everyone watching YouTube, again, please like and subscribe. Go follow these guys on Twitch if you haven't. Amazing guys. Check out their YouTubes. Both do amazing content. But yes,
if you subscribe to Bahamut's channel, you'll get a free peck on the forehead from Tifa.
Hey, there we go. Hey.
Every sub is an extra bit of life force in the live stream to save Air of Kappa.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, thank you everyone on YouTube, and yeah, thank you for watching.